Hey guys, hi. I'm doing it. I'm bullying them. It's Fuck Off Friday and I'm bullying them to get them to come here to join us. Good morning. Hi. Oh, I blocked your main account. I'm so sorry. If you tell me when we're on Twitch, I'll unblock it. So come over on Twitch, tell me your main account, and I'll unblock it. Where is it on Twitch that is blocked, or is it here? That's funny. Oh, yeah, you think I haven't understood Marx? That's funny. It's really funny. I've been a communist for like 26 years. I don't think I have a problem understanding Marx. Come over. So Twitch is Madeline Pendleton, no underscore. No, you don't have to pay for it. It's free. You can pay for it, but you don't have to. It's free. It's great. I think it's way better. You can show sources. You can talk about things. We do Theory Thursdays where we talk about theory. We actually talk about Marx on Theory Thursday. We do whole 2.5 hour deep dives into Marx on Theory Thursdays. So come on over. Join us. Yes, thank you. That is the link. Come join us. Come get less fucking stupid because you guys are embarrassingly fucking stupid right now. It's getting worse also. I'm going to tell you this. In the 6 years I've been on TikTok, I've seen people get dumber on average. Just worse. It's just like a declining rate of comprehension. And it's getting way, way, way worse. Yeah. So, it's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing and something has to change. So come be less stupid. Come be less stupid over on, Twitch. I'm worried. I'm worried about the world. Like, you guys we're cooked, right? We're cooked. Like, there's no resistance. There's no resistance because you guys don't even know what you're supposed to be resisting. You don't even know who your enemies are. Your enemy will show up with a fucking sledgehammer, conk you over the head with it, and be like, fuck you, and spit in your face. And you'll be like, this seems like my friend. That's how cooked we are. That's how fucking cooked we are, right? So that's embarrassing for you. Come at least learn who your real enemy is. At least learn who your real fucking enemy is, okay? It's crazy. It is fun learning. I think it is fun learning. We try to make learning as fun as possible. We do learn a lot. We talk about history things, you know. Yes, I'm the teacher who's had enough. It's Fuck Off Friday. I'm supposed to be meaner, actually. I'm kind of not being mean enough. It's not in me right now. Can you tell I don't have it in me? Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to get meaner. Should I start calling you ugly? You're also ugly. I can't see you, but I know you're ugly. I know it. Do you think that'll work? You're ugly, and you snore when you sleep, and it's really fucking loud, and everybody hates it. Nobody wants to share a bed with you, so you're never going to find love because you're ugly and you snore while you sleep. Is that working? How many people are here? And your feet smell bad, and you don't read. You're illiterate, and your feet smell. What do we got? How many people are in the Twitch chat? It worked. It's working. Okay, yeah. I'm so sorry. It's okay if you snore. You will find love. I promise you will find love. It's only 181. We need more. Okay, well, you're stupid. You're ugly. Nobody's ever going to love you. And it's because you don't read books. And we both know you're a loser and you won't read books. We know you're a fucking loser who won't read books. So the least you could do is go watch long form content where someone reads to you. That's how much of a pathetic fucking loser you are. You have to go watch a video where someone reads to you because you won't read shit on your own. That's embarrassing. But that's okay. It's the least you could fucking do, right? It's the least you could fucking do. How are we doing? Are we doing well? What do we got? Oh, the stinky feet. You stay here on TikTok if you're a stinky feet. We don't want you over here. Okay, it's working. All right. We got 200 people there. All right. Your moms are extremely disappointed in you. You know, they're talking to their friends saying, I should have not had kids. And you pick your nose. What else you guys got over here? You can stay. All right. Okay. I'm hanging up. How do we do? That's a little rough. It's working. Yay. You know, Fuck Off Fridays, I don't always have it in me. I had it in me a little earlier, and then I got it out of my system. And then by the time, you know, the transition over to Twitch came, I didn't have the anger in me anymore. Mm-hmm. Yay! Okay, thank you. Yay. Am I less dumb yet? Not yet. Right now, you're probably real dumb. I'm dumb maxing right now. Oh, let me get my water. Fork's yelling. Chaos. I'm gonna go get Fork a treat really fast, actually. Okay, I'm putting up the Fork screensaver. Get your articles ready that you want to propose to talk about. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay, hi, I'm back. She went outside to go potty and she got a treat. I put it on the ground so she'll find it when she comes back in. Okay, so for those of you who are new, we call this Double Down on the News. 4 days a week we're here and we talk about what's happening in current events. We pull up usually mainstream news articles, we go through them, and we deconstruct what's happening. We talk about any bias that's going on with their reporting, any propaganda that's involved. And we also will do like a little brief history when it's relevant on things. So we do that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday because on Thursdays we do Theory Thursday. So you missed Theory Thursday yesterday if you're new, but they are saved as my video on demands on Twitch and also exported to YouTube. So you can watch them. Okay. The UK government will boycott the Winter Paralympics opening ceremony on Friday in protest of the decision to allow Russia and Belarus to compete at the Games. This is crazy. That is so crazy. Is Israel at the Games? I have to ask. Is Israel at the Games? Playlist of different perspectives. Okay. Yay! Gifted subs. Thank you. We have a really good sub gifting community here too. Everybody gives subs a lot, so I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Parcel Mabel. Thank you. Thank you. I actually prepared some things for you guys to look at. I already posted them on TikTok, but for people who didn't see it, I thought we could watch it while we wait. It is 2 videos, because I'm trying to do more videos, that is people from Iran talking about what's going on. So very obviously, we've all been seeing the honeypot videos. We've all been seeing the honeypot videos, which are sexy girls dancing around with Iranian flags saying, thank you, Donald Trump. We're so happy that you're getting bombed, right? We've all seen this. So, you know, that's obviously been disturbing, and it's been working on a lot of people, which is even more disturbing. You see, a lot of liberals are falling for it. And this is what we mean when we talk about how liberals end up with the same foreign policy as Donald Trump, and they don't understand how. And this is why I'm like, I need to start to more vocally say, hey, you're in the alt-right pipeline. This is alt-right pipeline shit. Those videos of women dancing around saying we love Donald Trump for bombing us, he's bringing us liberation, that's the alt-right pipeline, right? Is Larry here? Oh, yay. Hi, Larry. It is diaspora cringe, exactly. So what I have that I want to show, I posted this on my TikTok, if anybody didn't see it. I have 2 videos from people in Iran. One is a group of Iranians responding to somebody showing them those videos. And you can see they're shocked. And the shock on their face, they're like, what is this? That tells you that this is not a common sentiment amongst people in Iran. They can't even fathom what they're looking at. And the second is a woman in Iran who just clocks us. And she's in her car and she's just like, listen, Americans, here's what's fucking going on. And she talks about the true nature of the protests that happened in Iran. And it's really, really good. So I thought we'd watch both of them as a palate cleanser to get us started before we get into our actual things. Yeah, some of you already saw this, so I'm so sorry if you already saw it. But we're going to play it again. I think it's just good. We're going to get into it. Okay. Screen share. All right, here we go. So this will be the first one we watch.
این خوشحالی حمله به ایرانه؟
اصلا نمیخوایم وحشی‌ها رو ببینم. اینجا تهران روز 6 جنگه.
بعید میدونم ایرانی باشن.
مادر و پدر و فامیل خودت داره.
Wait, it just occurred to me you guys might not be able to see the subtitles if it's small on your thing. Should I voice over them what they're saying? You can? Okay, good. Okay. You can? Okay, good.
دارن تو این کشور زندگی میکنن.
آره نمیدونم اینا دلشون به کی خوشه.
اینا یه آدمای بیشور و نفهمی هستن، آدم فروشن، هم وطن فروشن.
آدمای کثیف.
هر فشاری که رومونه از منافقین و مزدورای داخلیه. یکی مثل اینایی که تو کشورهای دیگه نشستن، خوشیاشون رو دارن، شعار اینو میدن که ما وطن پرستیم.
ما ایرانیم، اینا دارن 170 تا دانش آموز رو میکشن، اینا دارن مردم ایران رو میکشن.
وطن پرستون کسایی هستن که شبای سرد تو خیابونا میان برای جمهوری اسلامی، برای سوگ پدرشون اینجا به جماعت نشستن. انتظار داری کشوری که برای هیچ کس آبادانی به ارمغان نیاورده برای شما بیاره؟ چرا همچین فکری رو میکنی؟
Okay, so for those of you who couldn't see it, they were basically just like, who is this? These are Iranians? Like, there's no way these are Iranians. Like, what are you talking about? Why would you do this? This is so senseless and cruel. Like, your people are getting bombed. Oh, thank you, gifted subs. Yay, more. Yay. Yeah, so they were basically just, like, surprised. And that tells you right there that this is not something common in Iran. These people were like, what? people, they're celebrating that we're getting bombed? Like, what? This is your family. What are you talking about? So very, very interesting. Oh, so you can do all the mod stuff, and which is a tad complicated. Okay, thank you. All right. So then I've got this video, which is also from an Iranian woman from Twitter.
I'm an Iranian woman talking to you from Iran. I don't know if they let you hear my message or not, but after the riots in Iran, Trump said he wants to save us, the Iranians. But we Iranian people do not need his saving, and you Americans do not need his lies anymore. His policies are harming both of us. His plan for Iran was clear from the beginning. He used sanctions as a weapon, not only against the government, but also against ordinary people like families, workers, patients, and students like me. He wanted the inflation to rise and daily life to become unbearable for us. And then when we protested against the economic pressure and not the Islamic regime, the Israel-backed agents, organized terrorists, and armed militias stepped in and turned our peaceful protests into violence and calculated acts of sabotage. And when they failed to regime change, that violence is now being used by Trump as an excuse to start a war against Iran, both to burn my country and to burn your tax dollars. Quite the opposite of his promise to put America first. But while he's blaming Iran and talking about freedom abroad, look at what he's doing to you, his own nation. You're peacefully protesting against racism and injustice, and yet your police and National Guard respond with tear gas and bullets. And now he wants to distract you by dragging you into another foreign war. We must stand together against the wrong and dangerous policies of those in power. You must not allow Trump to attack Iran, because if he does, my country will be damaged and your people will be buried. It's not a win-lose situation, only loss on both sides. I know you want no more wars. I know how many American families have already paid the price of war. You have sent your loved ones to fight in countries far from home. And I tell you that the war with Iran will not be as easy as kidnapping the Venezuela's president. I'm not the speaker of Iran's government, but all the Iranian officials have warned that thousands of American soldiers will die in the Persian Gulf and the U.S. military bases across the region. And this is not a threat. This is a reality of war. And we, the Iranian people, do not want this to happen to you. So you, the American people, must not let this crazy old man decide the fate of millions, because your lives and our lives worth more than his ambitions and his lost. Hey, American.
Yeah, so good, so true. Go Home GI. Do you guys know this reference? This is a great reference. Somebody said my family went through this in Somalia. I don't know how people still fall for this shit. Exactly. And that's why the diaspora element of this is so important, right? Because the diasporas, they're not living through this. They don't get it. And they get on the internet and they tell you, well, I'm from here and this is what I want. And it's like, well, you're not there. It's really fucking different when bombs are being dropped on your fucking house, right? Yeah, Hanoi Hannah. Should we watch it? It's pretty good.
Чего ты так? Пиздишь, чего?
GI, your government has abandoned you. They have ordered you to die. GI, do not trust them. Defect, GI. It is a very good idea to leave a sinking ship. They lie to you, GI. You know you cannot win this war. Your rich leaders grow richer while you die in the swamp, GI. They will give you a medal, GI, but only after you are dead. Your government lies to you every day, poor soldier. You have lost this war, GI. Your army will leave you behind. Imperialists make you fight this war, GI. They do not care about you. GI, your government has betrayed you. You will not return for you. GI, your airplanes bomb your own men. You are not safe here. The skies are dangerous, GI. They will napalm you tonight. Your pilots do not care that you are down here, GI. Okay. You cannot dig foxhole to hide in, GI Joe. Your bombers will find you. GI, your helicopters fall from the sky like broken birds.
Anyway, that's it. This was something that, they played in Vietnam to the soldiers. And the thing is, it's supposed to be psychological warfare, but it is also fucking true. We lost that war in badly. Vietnamese, defectors, or not defectors, the Vietnamese soldiers were telling the truth when they were saying, hey, this is a bad war for you too. Your government doesn't care about you. They also would drop pamphlets specifically targeting Black American soldiers, being like, your government hates you. They sent you here to die. How are you doing this? And they were correct, right? And this ended up actually being an immensely successful technique. A number of soldiers actually defected and just abandoned the military because of this. And so it is true. So when that woman was saying, I'm not trying to threaten you, right? This isn't a threat, but you will die. You will die. And that is something that I think Americans don't think of. And already there was a story about people who died, right, in Iran. I don't know if you guys saw this. There was, I'm going to see if I can find this on my Twitter really fast just to show you. There was a handful of people who already are confirmed casualties, American soldiers, of the war. And people were like, oh my God, this is so sad. She was 5 days from returning home on tour or whatever. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. I'm going to see if I tweeted this, so I'm going to see if I can. Okay, here we go. So this is a story, right? And they're like, U.S. soldier killed in Iran was days away from returning home to her family. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're telling me war kills people? No shit. What do you fucking, yeah, you're going to die. You are going to die for your government. Just like the punk song said. You are fodder. You are cannon fodder for Donald Trump's approval ratings and the flow of fucking oil that we don't even need. It's just absolutely wild. Are you guys drowning me? Oh, fuck. I didn't even see it. Okay. Okay, I think that's enough. The balloons. Somebody said you're going to dilute their blood. I think it was Virgo, maybe. But what's funny is one time my friend Sarah was really, really nervous to get her blood drawn, and I told her I would go with her because we both had the same health insurance. And I went with her to get her blood drawn, and they drew both of our blood, and hers was all red, and mine was all brown and murky. And I was like, why does my blood look like that? And she was like, ew, your blood is not cute. She's like, my blood, cute. Your blood, not cute. And the guy was like, do you not drink any water ever? And Sarah was like, oh my God, you're so dehydrated it made your blood ugly. And she was right. Yeah, you walk in to see me drowning. My blood is not cute. So if you were planning on murdering me in a bloody way to see cute things, it's not going to be cute blood. It's going to be, yeah, so we need a new version of the Go Home GI. Habibi, the Shahid drone knows where you are. I mean, and that's really what's happening. So somebody also sent this, the Iran war cost tracker. Just absolutely insane. And it's wild that the Republicans get to position themselves in any capacity, right, as being somehow the budget guys, the guys who are against overspending when it's war is the most costly fucking bullshit money sink on the planet. But yeah, I just think this is so funny. It's like, what do you think? You're going to go to war and not die? You thought you were just going to go kill people and nothing bad would happen to you? But that really is how the United States thinks of war. We are so not used to being actually threatened, actual targets in the war, having our land bombed or destroyed. The idea that an American could die in war, we're like, oh, that's for the other guys. It's not for us. But it's like, think about how many people we fucking killed in Venezuela alone that nobody even talks about. Nobody even talks about it. It's like, what? Somebody said we're up to 7 Americans dead in Iran. Meanwhile, one in and out operation killed like, what, how many people in Venezuela? I can't remember if it was 55 or 100. I keep getting confused by the numbers. But it's a significant amount of deaths in Venezuela that we didn't even really make our news, those casualties, right? So it's very, very fucking weird. It's very, very deranged. And I do think we need to be in a position where you're telling people not to join the war. I don't know if you guys watch Mocha Yappuccino at all, but Mocha made a series of videos just being like, you guys joining the military right now, acting like you're tough and you're better than everybody, you're gonna come home with fucking arms and legs cut off if you come home at all. Like, you are not, this is fucking pathetic and weird. Like, you're not making your mom proud. Don't do this. And I think, like, I grew up in a community that was aggressively targeted by the military. I don't know if you guys did too. If you grew up in a poor community in the United States, you were aggressively targeted by the military. And I always said at my high school, we didn't have college recruiters, but the military was on campus every day recruiting. We were the cannon fodder. We were a low-income school. We were very poor. We were a minority-majority city. Most students there were not white. And we were targeted. We were cannon fodder, right? Okay, this is from 2 days ago. The death toll. Yeah, 6 U.S. soldiers. And, you know, we talk about this as though this is shocking information. This was her, right? But yeah, of course people die. Of course people die. That's what you're signing up to go die. That is what you are signing up to do. And Americans don't think about that. They just think like, well, they said that I could get free college. They're going to help me buy a house. And also, the reason they are able to recruit this way is because they keep people in poverty. When you keep people in poverty, when you don't consider housing a human right, when you don't make education free, you can bribe them to go fight and die for their government by saying, well, we'll give you a 0% down payment home loan, right? Or a $0 down home loan. We'll let you go to college for free. These become bargaining chips to convince these people to go die for their country. So that is why low-income people are disproportionately targeted for war, to go be in the military, to do this. And this happened at my school. We had military posters all over our cafeteria. We had the military come talk to us in fucking classrooms. I was actually pulled out of my classroom. I don't know if you guys know this. I was like very good in school. It was a thing. I was like very, very good at school. I was the kind of good at school where the principal pulls you aside to have conversations about your test scores because the school needs your test scores in order to get certain budgeting. Like, this is a thing, if you perform well academically at a low income school, you are coddled. You are given a lot of special attention and treatment. And this is the kind of good at school I was, where I had more leverage than my school because they needed my test scores so bad. So this was a thing. And you know, I had more inside knowledge of how my school worked as a result of that. So when the military came to recruit on my campuses, I was never in the room with the regular people when they were doing the recruitment speeches. I was pulled out of the room. And the reason is that I was given a separate recruiting speech. They knew I was poor, but they also knew that I tested in the 99.99th percentile in every single standardized test I'd ever had since kindergarten, right? Which, again, doesn't mean you're smart. I just want to put that out there. Standardized tests are very, very racist. They very much lean towards white people. I was a white person at a predominantly not white school, which is probably why I academically performed way higher than these people. These tests are made by white people for white people. And it's been proven that people who aren't white have a harder time taking these types of standardized tests, right? So whatever the reason, they would pull me out and they would look at my test scores and they would sit me down and they would give me a different sales pitch. And the different sales pitch was always this. Those people there in that room, we pulled you out of there because you're not like them. You're different. You're special. We need you. You would never be sent to the front lines. We would never risk trying to put you in combat. We would ideally not even put you in a combat zone. We would want you somewhere safe. We would want you somewhere doing drone operation, which was a new thing at the time that they were talking about. We would want you doing strategy. We would want you strategizing things. And basically the pitch was this. Those people are disposable. We count on them dying. They're replaceable. You, though, you're not. If you join the military, you're going to have a very different experience than those people. Because those people, they're replaceable. They die, they get replaced. It's not a big deal. They're pawns. You, though, you're like a rook. You're like a knight. We can't replace you so easily. So we would keep you safe. And you would get special treatment. And that was their pitch to me. That was really what they told me. And I remember like literally being like, okay, and this is in my book. I've talked about this in my book. If you read my book, I was like, so just the stupid ones, you send them to die. Is that what you're telling me? Those people are dumb, so you send the stupid ones to die. Isn't that eugenics? Or is the U.S. military admitting to me right now that you exercise eugenics? I just want to be super, super clear. And that was the conversation I had with them. And then at a certain point, they stopped pulling me out of classes. Somebody must have flagged my file or something and been like, no. It's absolutely wild. Kid on your street went to military training and passed away during the skydiving training. Yeah, I mean, they really do view them as disposable, as cannon fodder, and they're upfront about it, right? You know, you don't remember it from the book. Maybe my editor took it out, but I do think it was in my part about high school. Yeah, it's just another statistic, but they're open about it. The words they said, oh yeah, I said, so it's eugenics. You send the stupid people to die. They didn't say that part, but they did say, you know, you're special. Like these people, you know, they're kind of a dime a dozen. They're kind of, you know what I mean? We can always find people like this. That was kind of how it was positioned. We can find people like this. We can't find people like you. We would keep you safe. And they told me point blank, you would never see actual combat. You're too intelligent for that. You're too special for that. We would want to keep you safe. We probably wouldn't even put you anywhere near a combat zone for that reason. So those are the actual words that they would use. It's very, very wild. So yeah, and that was the whole vibe. And that's when I was like, okay, yeah. So you send the stupid ones to die. How is that not eugenics? I don't understand. So whatever. So this is the cult of the military in the United States. It tells poor people that this is the only way you're going to have a good life. It tells people who are directionless, who don't feel like college is for them, who've never even considered college, now you have something to do. You graduate from college, you don't know what you're supposed to do. Well, just like some people whose parents have more money, they default go to college. Poor people, they default go to the military. And that is what they do, right? And that doesn't mean it's okay. That doesn't mean these people aren't culpable for the war crimes they commit on behalf of the United States government. And this was somebody talking about yesterday on In Theory Thursday, the Lenin document about the armed forces and the revolution. And I think that is something we should talk about because this is always an issue we grapple with. Lenin famously utilized the armed forces to help push forward a revolution. And that was amazing. And here in the United States, you know, we're in the Imperial Corps. It's different. Our soldiers are not drafted. It's not like it was in Vietnam, where average, everyday people are forced to go to war they don't want to be in. Our soldiers today sign up for this voluntarily. And that's hard, because you look at these people and you're disgusted, right? How could you sign up to go do this? And it puts us in a difficult position where we have to hold these people accountable for their crimes against humanity, but also recognize that it can be a radicalizing experience for some of them. Some of them come out of war going, holy shit, that was awful. I now want to dedicate my life to not being involved in that again. And that's how you end up with groups like Veterans for Peace, which has been active out here in California where I am with anti-war organizing. But they are also the ones who will be the most vocal about, like, I committed war crimes and nothing will forgive me for this. And I will, if there is a hell, I will burn on it. And every single day I do my best to atone for the sins I've created. Right? So it's a very, very challenging position to be in. Yeah. And it's hard. Okay, you keep asking me this question about the Ogden War, but I don't think we have time to talk about anything super in-depth like that right now. I kept seeing you ask me on my TikTok thing too. But what we do here is we just usually talk about the news and current events and like what's going on based on like a vote, you know? So what we're going to do is actually transition into our regular content right now. And we're going to talk about current events. So does anybody have any articles in the news that they would like to talk about for poll topics? Oh, veteran here. You had zero thought in joining the Marines, just had nothing better to do and didn't want to go to college. Exactly. So people do come out of this being like, oh shit, fuck that, you know? And that is important. And they are important parts of our revolutionary efforts. They are important parts of our communities. But again, they're usually the first person to tell you like, oh yeah, that was bad. That was bad and fucked. And yeah, you don't think about it exactly. Very, very fascinating. Okay. Anybody who's got recommendations? Suspicious user restricted. Ooh, we got a suspicious user restricted. Young parents are also susceptible to joining because of free housing. And then the housing that we provide for people in the military is also ass. It's like we make people live in moldy, fucking broken down conditions too. It's wild. Recent detrimental state of the Cuban internet. Okay, yeah. Again, I'm still trying to figure out ways for me to I might have some more direct info about Cuba soon. EU and U.S. sanctions individuals. Okay, let me see. Venezuela mining changes. Qatar has now declared major LNG production. Maybe they cannot honor contracts. We want an article about that. Let's see. Qatar. Also, this might be like kind of sappy, but you guys, sometimes after a stream, I realize I didn't like talk to some of you that I see in here every single day that I really like. And I'm like, oh my God, they said this thing and I like totally missed it and I didn't see it. So I just want you guys to know that if I ever don't talk to you for a day, I notice afterwards if you're in here, and I feel really like sad about it because I recognize all your names. I read it later and I'm like, I didn't even see that comment. Oh. So I have a parasocial relationship with you guys too, just so you know. And my partner's funny. My partner's like, oh, you got a little community in there. And I'm like, yeah, it's nice. This is what I originally always used the internet for, to build community. The streamer's getting parasocial with you. That's what's going on. Okay, so I have some options. Let me sort through these really fast. I'm not finding any news about Cuba's internet recently, unfortunately. Oh, okay, we got some wild shit. Okay. Ah, the news is newsing. Okay, so here's what I think we've got. All right. Let me look up one more thing. I have 4 options. So let me find a 5th. Interesting. Okay, here's what I think we've got. I think we have Virgo, are you ready? Ready, you said ready. Okay. Beirut. And then we've got the Kurds. And then we got Qatar. And then we have Iran general, Iran catch-all, less specific. I've got a few things to go in Iran catch-all, just so you guys know what you will be voting for if you vote for that. Iran rejects ceasefire negotiations. Trump says he doesn't really care if Iran becomes democratic or not, and the cost of the Iran thing. And then the 5th is Kristi Noem. Those are the 5. Ooh, thank you for this. Chinese mustard. All right, so the poll is up, so go, please. Oh, we got a little Alan McLeod, our friend. That'll be part of our Iran catch-all if we do that. I love him. Oh my God, Toby's here! We missed you yesterday, Toby. There was another trot in the chat, and we said no. We're only allowed 1 at a time, and it's you. Yeah, Beirut! Beirut! It should be at the top of your chat. Yeah, Toby, we kicked out another trot because there was only time for you. Just so you know. We were like, there's only allowed 1. Maybe something interesting we could look at. Okay. Newsom likens Israel to apartheid state. Questions future military support. And this is what I mean about, okay, this is what I'm talking about with Gavin Newsom. When I told you guys this, he's very flexible. He can be moved on every single issue. It's just a matter of how popular it is. Gavin Newsom appears to have noticed that people don't like Israel. This is a man who just recently made it illegal to tell the real story of the Nakba in California public schools. And now he's like, wait a minute. People really don't like this Israel thing. So now he's like, whoa, guys. Did you know Israel's bad? This is this man, which I'm glad he came around. But you can see how this is dangerous because sometimes the public has bad public opinions, right? Yeah, he's spineless. He's super fucking spineless. I will say, he might do shit. He does do shit when he's on his little whims. But it's like, how much power does he really have? Okay, it's like, we're talking about regime change. For 2 years, they haven't even been able to solve the Hamas question in Israel. They're just talking about what Donald Trump is always talking about. Oh, Netanyahu. Yeah. Very, very fascinating. Okay, you guys voting? Voter gulag, voter gulag. Oh, Mamdani effect. Zoran also cites apartheid. Oh, yeah, he just figured it out. I mean, Mamdani really is, again, where the Democrats should be, which for us, as socialists, as actual socialists, we're like, okay, you're just like a Sokdam, you're like a social democrat, like, okay. That is what the Democrats should be, though. In any normal country, the Democrats would be Sokdem, and they'd be a centrist party, and then there would also be a socialist party, an actual socialist party. The fact that Democrats are not even Sokdem is fucking wild. Like, that's what they should be. Like, AOC, Bernie Sanders, they're even more conservative than what the Democrats should be. Zoran Mamdani is what they should be. Still his warhawk fucking language about what's happening in other countries. Still calling actual socialist dictators, right? Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. But at least providing social safety net at home. That is what the Democratic Party should be operating as, logically, right? Not ethically, not morally. Ethically, it's fucked. They're throwing the global south under the bus still. But they don't get it. Okay, Iran catch-all update. Okay, yeah. All right. We've got a few articles ready to go. 1 second. Let's prepare. Okay, so the first story we're going to look at over here. You wanted Kurds. Maybe we'll have time for a little. We'll see if we got Kurds at home. You wanted Babe Ruth? That one I don't know about. Maybe I'll pull up the Kurds. Let's see. 7 hours ago we got a story. We'll see if we get around to that. All right. Do you have to use the app to vote? You only use this to watch you don't know what you're doing. I don't know how that works. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Okay. The poll is always a mystery. People always struggle with the poll. So the first story we're going to talk about in Iran catch-all update today is Iran rejects ceasefire negotiations, says they're ready for a U.S. ground invasion. So Iran is like, all right, babe, try it. Come in. Come over. Come through. Show up. Iran is basically doing what I do when a random troll on Twitter says they're going to murder me, and then I just type my address, and I'm like, come. Show up. Let's go. I don't have all day. They're really calling the U.S.'s bluff. And the reason they're calling U.S.'s bluff is because of this, which we talked about yesterday as well, but for those who didn't see this. This is what Iran looks like. Okay? This is what they got going on. Mountains, mountains, mountains. Desert, desert. Ocean, ocean. Oh yeah. I'm insane though. I'm a crazy person. People really do not understand what an insane person I am. I literally will be like, yeah, here's my address, come. If you're sending me death threats all day, let's get it out of the way. I'm not going to wait around seeing if you'll show up or not. Here's my address, come through. How long? When should I expect you? And then they get freaked out. And that's something that, I'm little. If you're small, you learn this early, just be the craziest person in the room. Because it's like, look, they're either going to do it or they're not. I don't have time to worry. Just fucking do it or not. Let's go. Yeah, I'm just like, show up then, babe. Let's get it out of the way. I'm not going to be able to control if you actually are a crazy person who wants to kill me or not. You're going to do it or you're not. So let's just get it out of the way then quickly. Yeah. People get freaked out. They're like, what the fuck? You're insane. And I'm like, well, look, I am an anxious person. The last thing I want is to sit around wondering. Either do it or don't. I don't have time. Right now. I don't have time. So, okay. So over here, yeah, this is a topographic map of the Iran Sea, right? Or the Iran mountains and oceans and stuff like that. And this means that the only possible entry point for a ground invasion is like maybe through here. That looks a little rough. Or through here. And this area, which is where the Kurds, I believe, occupy this area. If Stephanie's in the chat, Stephanie might be able to correct me, but I believe this is the area that the Kurds are. So this is not an environment that's hospitable to ground troops, right? Oh my God, you made this? Okay, what is that? Is it Rickrolling? Car, how did I fall for it again? I'm never clicking a link from you again. it feels new again. It's always funny. I know. It's like so good. That's why it's so funny. You do not expect a Rickroll in 2026. Okay. Anyway, so, alright. So, Iran is basically like, send your guys in, because look at what it fucking looks like in Iran. This is why they're like, come through. This is what they're doing. They're the equivalent of me being insane on Twitter right now. They're like, babe, send them in. Let's see what happens. Now, does that mean that the United States will definitely not win a war with a ground invasion? Who knows? It could go either way. But it's not going to be easy, is the thing, right? It's not going to be fucking easy for them, all right? And this is what Iran is talking about. Now, the reason why the Kurds are important is because the Kurds know the territory. The Kurds is a group that is more familiar with this territory, and they politically have mixed ambitions. Some of them hate the United States because they've been fucked over by the United States in the past. Some of them are not sure about the United States because they've got some beef going on with Turkey, and the United States is all buddy-buddy with Turkey, especially over what's going on in Azerbaijan and Albania right now. Or in Armenia, sorry. So these kinds of things are complicated. And I think what's happening is Donald Trump is relying on the Kurds to be the invading ground force. Netanyahu seemed to convince Donald Trump that all the Kurds were going to be all in and being the invading ground force for us. Great. They know the terrain. They're going to have an advantage over dropping a bunch of 18-year-old Americans who didn't even want to go to Iran and just wanted to get free college in over a fucking mountain range and saying, go find them, boys, go kill them. That's going to be fucked for Americans, right? So this is really, I think, why we the United States, alongside Israel, our governments, we're counting on the Kurds being our ground invasion unit. So this is all relevant. So when Iran is like, we're ready for U.S. ground invasion, send them in. Remember, Iran knows it looks like this. So they're like, have fun. Get them over here. Let's see what happens. So, Iran is prepared for a possible ground invasion by U.S. troops, the country's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, said Thursday, as the war launched by the U.S. in Israel continues to escalate. Araghchi told NBC News that Iran is ready to counter American forces after U.S. President Donald Trump refused to rule out the possibility of boots on the ground earlier this week. We are waiting for them, Araghchi said, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them. Right. So the U.S. and Israel jointly attacked Iran over the weekend, obviously we know, and reportedly killed more than 1,000 civilians in bombings that appear to have also hit several schools. Now, all those people, do you remember those people who were like, the Iran bombed themselves, they bombed their own school, and all these people were like, what? I would even ask people, I was like, who told you all this? Where are you getting this from? When I searched this, I'm not finding anything. And multiple people told me that it came actually from a Telegram channel. People in a Telegram group chat were like, we have decided unilaterally, just random people, that Iran bombed the school itself. And then they showed this image that doesn't even make sense or add up. So this is really, really fascinating. Meanwhile, what's actually happened in the investigating is... I'm pulling it up. Here, analysis suggests the school was hit amid U.S. strikes on an Iranian naval base. Pretend to be shocked, right? Even the fucking New York Times is like, nah, that was our guys, right? I mean, it's absolutely wild. And even the New York Times, so when we talk about a bias in, like, Parenti has a great part of this in the book that is about Yugoslavia, I believe. I believe that's in the book where he talks about that. Where he's like, to understand a source, you need to understand, and we were talking about this over on the TikTok stream, you need to understand the conflict of interest with who is paying the source, what the source is, and what they are reporting. So for even the New York Times to be like, hey, sorry about fork, very obviously, we think that was the United States. That's massive because New York Times usually operates as a pro-U.S. government apparatus, right? That's what they usually do. What's fork doing? How is this duck or goose actually is more fork than the fork emote somehow? This goose looks so much like fork. Fork, come here. Fork. Fork. Nothing. Okay, I don't know. Quiet when the chairman... I was thinking about that. I'm like, it's literally like our chairman is like yelling orders at us. Oh, the swan with the wings. Fork is the goose from the Goose Game. Yes, if you've ever played this fucking game, that is Fork. That's what it's like living with Fork. Okay, so look, even the fucking New York Times is like, babe, come on. Oh, we think that was the United States, which is a massive thing for them to admit. So this is how we look at sources. People are like, well, where do you go to get your news? It's like, you can't just do that. That's not how the news works. You look at what they're reporting, you look at their bias, you look how this creates a conflict of interest, and then sometimes that conflict of interest actually will make their reporting more trustworthy. It is not in the New York Times' best interest to admit that the U.S. government has committed a war crime. We know that New York Times editorial staff, New York Times journalists historically have been paid by the U.S. government to push pro-U.S. government lines and agendas. So the fact that even they are like, no, this is looking like it was the U.S. government, that's pretty major. So that actually makes this story more trustworthy coming from them, because it is a conflict of interest and they're reporting it against their own best wishes, basically, or their own what's the word? Not best wishes, their own best interests. That's it. Sorry. So, yes, the United States and Israel have apparently also hit several schools, and this is the story about the school attack. And this has been us. And also, it's just crazy because it's like, we literally have seen the destruction in the past of the United States and of Israel. What makes Americans think they wouldn't attack a school? That all of a sudden attacking a school is off limits? Like, did you see what fucking Israel just did to Gaza? That the United States gave them the weapons and the money to do? Like, what? Every school's gone in Gaza. Like, they bombed every school. Did you see what the United States did in Korea? In the northern half of Korea? Every school was bombed. Why would they suddenly not bomb a school? It's absolutely wild. So Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, as well as dozens of Iranian officials were killed in the attacks. Again, I just want to remind everybody, they make him sound so mean and scary. A fucking 90-year-old man. A 90-year-old man who was not even the president of Iran, was just a religious leader. And don't get me wrong, as a religious leader, he had great influence. People do consider him a leader there. But again, this idea that the Ayatollah was a dictator, well, that should mean that if you killed him then the whole country fell, right? Because he was a dictator and it wasn't a collective government or an electoral government and there was nobody but him in charge calling shots. Very obviously that didn't happen, right? Because it is a more functional, complex government structure than the United States has been telling Americans. So, congrats. You killed a 90-year-old man. Good job. The military campaign, which is ongoing, prompted a wave of retaliatory strikes from Iran across the Middle East, reportedly hitting both U.S. military bases and civilian sites in Gulf states, killing dozens of people, including 6 U.S. service members. The Trump administration has signaled that the military campaign is likely to be more expensive than initially laid out. Oh, surprise! The war is more costly than you thought? When has this ever happened before in history? Every time we've been to war. Trump told the Daily Mail on Sunday that the campaign could last around 4 weeks, even as the war appears to be unpopular with most Americans. Let's take a look at this. Oh, do we have a video? Doom scroll of death. Okay. Only 27% of Americans approve of the U.S.-Israeli bombing in Iran. 43% disapprove. So that's pretty major, right? And more than 60% of nearly 1,400 American adults did not think that the Trump administration provided a clear explanation for the U.S.'s goals in Iran. So, it's not popular. We don't like this. Nobody likes this, right? And he's like, it's only going to be 4 weeks. And what did I tell you guys? It's either going to end in 2 weeks or it's going to go on 10 years. That was my guess, right? It's going to end in 2 weeks or it's going to, 10 years might be. It's going to drag on for years. It's going to be a forever war with no clear directives. So, this is, and this is how it goes also. Like, I think a lot of people have been talking about how Trump was obviously emboldened by the swift success of Venezuela, but Iran is not Venezuela. Iran is topographically more complex. They have more advanced military capabilities than Venezuela did. And to be frank, the United States fucked with Venezuela longer. Obama started the massive sanctions campaign to destroy Venezuela in 2016, and it was very, very aggressive. Iran has not been sanctioned that aggressively for that long, to my knowledge. Not since 2016. Let's see. We've been sanctioning them, don't get me wrong. I want to see like a year by year sanctions against Iran. We've obviously been doing it since the coup. Let's see if we can find it. Spotlight on Iran. Okay, This is GDP and growth. This isn't what we want. We have been sanctioning them for a long time, so maybe that is an unfair assessment, but I am trying to find some sort of data. Timeline of sanctions against Iran. I just know that their economic crisis hadn't hit until recently, right? Which is kind of the thing where it's like they only, within the past few years, started feeling the real hit of the economic toll taken on them. Whereas, over in Venezuela, they have been suffering for a long time economically. None of these graphs are what I want. I can't find it. I'm so mad. Okay, I have a Wikipedia article. I'm so sorry. This is the best we can find really, really fast. All right, so here we go. So this is on Wikipedia. I'm so sorry we don't have a better source at the moment. But we had, sanctions happening in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2015. 2015, though, was a schedule for suspending and eventually lifting UN sanctions, right? So they actually had a period where they weren't experiencing a lot of sanctions. And then, we had some more stuff happen in 2020 and 2025 snapback negotiations. So the economic situation in Iran was bad, right? As that woman we heard talking in the first part of the stream when she was on the video, and she was like, you created financial pressure in our country that drove us to protest the economic situation we were in, and then you try to use that energy and turn it into an anti-government coup. That is what we were trying to do. But we did not put years and years and years, like a decade of concentrated, persistent pressure on them like we did in Venezuela. I know. I deserve gulag for Wikipedia. I am so sorry. I was really struggling to find a good source on that. So, but, you get the idea of this, is that in Venezuela, we had a decade of just pounding them with intense sanctions. In Iran, we had a little ease up. We had a little more. We had a little less. So while they were experiencing great economic strife by the time the protests broke out, it wasn't this consistent beaten down thing, right? And that, oh, I got your hydrates. And that is the issue. They have a lot of drones. They have a larger military capability because of all of this. Yeah, the U.S. regime did need to secure Venezuelan oil before we could even start messing with them. True. But I think that Donald Trump was so emboldened by how fast and easy Venezuela was that he thinks he's going to be able to do that in Iran. And he's probably not. And that's what it really comes down to. So foreign citizens stranded in the Middle East are scrambling to leave the region. U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said during a Thursday briefing that the amount of firepower over Iran and over Tehran is about to surge dramatically. Aragachi also said that Iran has not asked for ceasefire and is not interested in negotiating with the U.S., contradicting Trump's claims that Iranian leaders want to talk. So Iran gets wind of this, that the United States is over here like, yeah, they're fucking begging to negotiate now. We're fucking with them so hard. Just like typical American macho bro bullshit, right? Like, we fucked them up so bad. They're begging for mercy. And Iran's like, we're not. We're not, and we fucking hate you. Come through. Let's see what happens. So they're really calling the bluff. Yeah, here's the screen share. Sorry. Very, very interesting. And continuing, Iran's top security official, Ali Larijani, posted earlier on Twitter, we will not negotiate with the United States. So they are giving us the terrorist state kind of treatment. How the United States is like, we don't negotiate with terrorists. Iran is like, we don't fucking negotiate with terrorists. This is the United States. If you want to go to war, we're going to war. Let's fucking go. Right? And that's really what they're doing. So we didn't ask for a ceasefire even last time, Aragachi says, referring to the 12-day war between Israel and Iran last June that was ended by a Trump-announced ceasefire. And this is what I mean when I'm like, this war will either last 2 weeks or it'll drag on forever. If it can't be solved in 2 weeks, it's not getting solved fast. It was Israel who asked for a ceasefire. They asked for an unconditional ceasefire after 12 days that we resisted against their aggression. Iran's hardened position also reflects the fact that nuclear negotiations had in February been renewed after previously being disrupted by last June's conflict, which included the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities and were ongoing prior to the U.S. and Israel's attack. Now again, Iran was producing nuclear weapons in conjunction with the agreements that had been laid out. Right? They had negotiated a path and a plan that was a slower plan for them to develop nuclear capabilities. They were producing nuclear weapons in line with agreements they made with the United States, right? And we still were like, fuck you. So we just really don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Why? Because if they have a nuclear weapon, it levels the playing field. And then all of a sudden we can't do shit like this. We have less of an opportunity to control the oil coming out of Iran. And again, why do we want the oil? Not even because we need the oil. We want the oil for finance capital. This is imperialism. This is textbook imperialism. So we have this quote from Argacci that says, the fact that we don't have any positive experience of negotiating with the United States, especially with this administration, we negotiated twice last year and this year, and then in the middle of negotiations, they attacked us. We see no reason why we should engage once again with those who are not honest in negotiation, and they do not enter into negotiation in good faith. Right? So, why would we fucking talk to you? Talking to you is nothing. Iran is not producing nukes. Oh, okay, thank you. Iran has no nuclear weapons? Iran does not and will not produce nuclear weapons. They weren't even producing nuclear weapons? Wait. I thought they were doing this in conjunction with the things. Nuclear tech. Yes. Nuclear tech. Okay, yeah. It's nuclear energy. Nuclear power. Okay. The only thing I had known is that they were doing everything in conjunction with the nuclear plans that they agreed to. Right? Refinement? Okay, wait. Chat. Catch me up. Iran, yeah, I knew Iran did not have nuclear weapons. I did know that. But I thought that they were developing nuclear technology alongside the schedule. They were enriching uranium. Yes. That's what I meant when I said that. That they were progressing along the schedule set forward in their negotiation, where they were like, okay, we're allowed to do this, we're not allowed to do this. We're allowed to do this, we're not allowed to do this. They're working on nuclear energy for infrastructure. They're not producing nuclear warheads. Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Thank you guys. For the correction here, or the clarity. So they're like, we don't do nuclear weapons as a matter of principle because of the Ayatollah, right? This is what I was, okay, so this person doesn't the UN check their nuclear capabilities every year and they pass every year? Yeah, that is what I was under the impression of. I think I don't understand how nuclear energy works. The U.S. is pissy about uranium refinement, which has numerous non-military usage. The U.S. hates that because the only difference between nuclear power plant fuel and nuclear weapons fuel is how long the fuel is enriched. Right. Okay, yes. So I understood that they were doing something nuclear that pissed the United States off, but they did not have nuclear weapons, and that they were doing everything in conjunction to all the terms that had been laid out. I also had heard that the Ayatollah was like, we don't want to make nuclear weapons. I don't believe in that kind of vibes. Yeah, this is what this Comrade Lilith says. The religion doesn't believe in nuclear weapons. I heard that as well. But obviously, I didn't understand the difference between the nuclear enrichment for power and the nuclear enrichment for, yes, on nuclear weapons, yes. The Ayatollah said in the 90s that nuclear weapons are haram. Yes, I do remember this. I do think they should have nukes, though. Well, they have a new Ayatollah. They just have a new Ayatollah. Right, and they killed a bunch of nuclear scientists. I knew that. I think they can now if they want to build them very quickly like they were one step away. Yes, that I understood as well. And the United States does not want them to have nukes, obviously. I think they should have nukes. I think they should, but yes. They are enriching uranium beyond what's needed for civilian use, both for negotiation, leverage, and further research. Iran's nuclear program is extremely sophisticated, according to Maurer. This was my understanding, too. My understanding was that they had agreed on a set program of nuclear enrichment, right? And that they were doing everything in conjunction to the negotiations and the agreement that had already been reached, and that the UN was inspecting and they were like, yes, everything is fine. And the United States was still like, fuck you, because we don't want you to have a nuclear weapon. And they were doing everything in line with all the negotiations. I think they should have a nuclear weapon. But I did also hear, that the Ayatollah is like, we don't fuck with nukes. Like, we don't do nukes. We're not into nukes. That's not what we're doing. That's like against our religion. Yeah, I heard that as well. I also knew that. I knew they didn't have a nuclear weapon, definitely. But I think they should. The West doesn't want them to have nuclear capabilities, even if they don't intend to develop nuclear weapons. Right. Okay, yes. I was kind of under the impression, though, that I knew that the Ayatollah said they didn't want to develop nuclear weapons, but I guess in my head it's like, how long can you be pushed before you're just like, fuck it, and we do, right? They don't want them to be like North Korea. They did have a nuke, maybe this wouldn't be happening, right? And obviously, whatever, I can't speak for the religion of the Iranian people and what matters to them. I can very easily, as an atheist Westerner, be like, you should get a fucking nuke, right? It's very easy for me to make. But I understand people's spirituality and their religion is very personal to them. And if that's part of their culture and they're like, we just do not believe in shit like this, that is very admirable, right? It's very admirable. It's very ethical. But it's like, what are all the quotes about like fucking Malcolm X and shit? Like, if you're going up against an enemy that has no morality, how do you expect to win? And the United States does not have any morality at all, right? The thing about nukes as a deterrent is you actually have to be willing to use them. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's very, very true. I wonder if the new Ayatollah will have the same ban on nukes. And that's the thing. The United States might be just like pushing them in this way. It's very, very interesting. I don't know. I think it's a challenge because I think at a certain point it's like, how much can you be pushed, right? I would love a nuke now that we're talking about. Yeah, we are the nukies for a reason, right? We're team nuke. I think that they should make a nuke. But yeah, I think that is important. I didn't point that out though, that the Ayatollah was like, we don't want to do a nuke. That is real. But I did think that they were slowly developing something, but I guess it was towards nuclear enrichment for power and energy and infrastructure. That's correct. Right? Virgo has earned it. I think Virgo deserves a nuke. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, including the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities here. So I wonder how Time was reporting on this then. Oh, God, we get to hear Donald Trump talk about it for 3 minutes. I'm kind of interested in that. It just is like a little treat. Okay, wait. Your dad's an imam, and he just told me that having them as a deterrence is debated amongst scholars, but opinions say it should be fine. Interesting. I also trust Virgo with a nuke more than I trust our government. The problem is between when you decide to make nukes and when you achieve it and deliver a delivery vehicle. Any clandestine enrichment happening was to reduce this time if they did decide. Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I think that I hope they get a nuke. But I understand the complications there, obviously. Yeah, I do think the important thing, though, to take from all of this is that, like, Iran tried to play ball with us. They tried to play ball with us. We set up the terms, and they agreed to the negotiation. They tried to do everything exactly the way we wanted. They let the UN come investigate. They're like, we're doing everything like we agreed, and the U.S. still flipped out on them. So the fact that they don't want to negotiate with us after that is like, yeah, no shit. Why would you? Why fucking would you? Negotiating does nothing. All right. So we've got this. Now let's look at we don't have to watch Donald Trump talk. I guess he's just so interesting. He's just like such a clown of a human, you know? Sometimes I'm like, what's going on there? All right, but we'll take a look at this story about their nuclear enrichment. This is an older story. This is from June of 2025. So this might be interesting for us to do. So this is one. Trump sent a brief address to the nation Saturday evening that the U.S. bombers had totally obliterated 3 key Iranian nuclear sites and threatened to hit more targets if Iran refused to make peace. The strikes were a rare use of the B-2 stealth bombers, a highly secret and central part of U.S. nuclear deterrence strategy, and marked the country unequivocally joining Israel's campaign to cripple Tehran's ability to build a nuclear weapon. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. This is such bullshit. Iran is literally the defender of the Middle East. This is so crazy. They're the only people defending the Middle East from colonization and exploitation at the hands of the United States and Israel as our proxy. That's fucking wild. Yeah, this is the most direct American military intervention inside Iran in decades. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel, Trump said. For 40 years, if they've been saying that, why are Americans now all of a sudden, no, they love the United States and Israel and they want us to be there? Like, what? What? Girl, you said it. You said it. Like, oh my God, he admit it, right? For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. Like, girl, I'm screenshotting this. They hate us. Why the fuck would anybody think that they're now happy we're there? What the fuck? Okay, anyway. I'm just surprised he's even admitting it. I thought your whole story is they love us and they want us there, you fucking dingbat. There will either be peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we've witnessed over the last 8 days. He said there are many targets left, blah, 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 blah. He loves Benjamin Netanyahu. Misuva, the craziest thing to me is that the U.S. did not have any operational hypersonic missiles. The program to develop them faced huge stalls and cost overruns and was eventually canceled. Meanwhile, Russia, China, and Iran have had this technology for years. Hypersonic missiles fly at 5 to 15 times the speed of sound, making them functionally impossible to intercept. Okay, I really love that chat knows a lot about weapons, because I do not know that much about weapons. Famously, you remember we looked at the picture of Kim Jong-un, and I was like, he's in front of green truck with big ooh on it. I feel like I'm really getting a crash course education on missile technology and bombs from you all. So thank you. I know about gun. I know about tank. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I need to learn about that. I need a crash course from like somebody's weird uncle who's way too into World War II airplanes, you know? Like somebody's autistic uncle who's really into military tech needs to sit me down and do a crash course on it. Also, for the guns, I'm so little. I only know about tiny handguns that I can fire. I need this. I need someone. How do we find some of you might be this person. TBH. I need to know. US doesn't have hypersonic missiles. Fast bomb. Iran has fast bomb. Okay. I love it. We need a lefty weapon form Twitch. I'm so ready. I need to learn about the weapons because I do not know. I don't know what's going on with the weapons. We got Misuva. We got the missile guy. It's Misuva. I could not fire an AR-15. I could not. I can't even fire a fucking, like, I can't even fire a Glock. A Glock is too heavy for me. Do you see my arms? Gun guys are always like, you can fire this Glock. And I'm like, babe, I cannot. I cannot. Right? Fall back. Yeah. David's friend who knows guns. I know that guy too. We grew up together, but he lives in Portland. A Glock might be harder, actually. Depending on the size, yeah. David dates Republicans. You know, that's true. But I don't think the Republicans David dates knows anything about missiles. They're all hot blonde party girls with rich dads. Oh yeah, the link. I'm so sorry. We need a crash course in gun. And nuke. I need to know the nuke if we're nukies, I need to understand the nuke process. I need to understand the enrichment. I need to understand the missiles. We need this. I need it. Okay, here's what we're looking at right now. You need a heavy gun to counter the recoil, but you also can't hold up a sufficiently heavy gun that would make... Yeah, exactly. No, that's the issue. And every time I talk to guys at the firing range, and I want to, like, rent a gun to test it out, they're always like, this what'll help you. And I'm like, if I fired this gun before, it fucking won't. Like, I will fire into the ground, and I will fall backwards. Like, so it's always this really funny negotiation, because I am small, but my arms are also very, very weak. That's funny. Weapons Wednesday. Oh my god, Weapons Wednesday would go hard. I would be so into that. Weapons Wednesday? Maybe. Okay. We're in. We're going to learn about a new weapon every Wednesday. That's going to be our Nuki goals. Alright, okay. So, blah, blah, blah. Donald Trump's obsessed with Netanyahu. He's like, we're best friends. I love him. He's so cute. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel. God bless America. He loves Truth Social. A full payload of bombs, all caps, was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. Heavy fortified nuclear enrichment site built into a mountain outside. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. All right. Where Iran's nuclear program goes from here. So they're just like fear-mongering. They're like, they're going to build a nuke, right? They don't have a nuke. They're probably not, they don't even want a nuke. The Ayatollahs don't want a nuke. They think that's bad. I want them to have a nuke. I don't get a say, though, in how their government runs, which is a little unfair if you think about it. I think the people of Iran should ask me if they get a nuke. So if you think about it, I'm oppressed in this situation. Really, I'm the one who's suffering. Okay. So, you know, I'm a real victim here of Iran's nuclear program. Many of Iran's missile sites, Masuva, which North Korea gave them technology for, are so deep underground that not even a nuclear bomb could destroy them. Well, that's pretty good. That's good to know, at least. The International Atomic Energy Agency reported in May that Iran had accumulated roughly 120 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%, dangerously close to weapons-grade levels of 90%. No, it's not. It's like a third off. What? It's not even dangerously close. What? That's crazy. Okay. I'm getting caught up to speed on the nuclear enrichment faction of this. Okay. Yeah, that's a huge fucking difference. But all right. and enough to build 22 nuclear bombs within 5 months if further enriched. Okay. You know what? Yeah, we're going to start building nukes. That's our next stop here. Somali Pan-Africanists, when you become the dictator of the entire east of Africa, you will make sure to get nukes. Great. I love that. I unequivocally support you and your Pan-Africanist movement. The 60 to 90% process takes about 10 days. Well, that's good at least. They could do it. But I think the thing is, like, doesn't it seem like kind of if they wanted to, they would at this point then? Late today, you missed a lot. Like if they wanted to, they would. So this makes sense when the Ayatollah's like, we just don't want to because we think that's fucked up. They don't want to. Yeah, Virgo, they have everything they need and could have had nukes, but they don't yet. But what if they decide to do it? Right. Okay. 1,000 milligrams to make it sound like a lot more. Marxist Gamer Zeno, yes. Okay, watch. I'm learning so much about nuclear enrichment. That's what's happening. And we're talking about weapons. Okay, so that's what's going on. All right. They've been 2 weeks away since 2001. I knew that. Here's what I knew. My understanding as a person who does not understand nuclear enrichment was this. Ayatollah is like, we probably shouldn't build nukes. That's like not cool. And the United States is like, you definitely are going to build nukes. And they probably should build a nuke, but they don't want to. And then that the UN and the United States laid out a plan for here's how much you're allowed to get on the building a nuke process. And that they were like, we're fine with that. We'll sign off on that. And then the UN would continuously check. And they were like, yeah, we're doing it all in line with schedule. And then the US was like, fuck you, we're going to bomb you anyway. That was my understanding. What I did not understand is that the pathway to nuke also is the pathway to just nuclear energy. And it's the same pathway. And the only reason they were on the pathway at all is because they were just doing nuclear energy. Is this correct? Because I understood the first part. I did not understand that the path to nuclear weapon is also the same path to nuclear energy. And they just coincidentally were falling on this one because they were doing this one. Okay, chat. Thank you for the correction here. Thank you for setting me straight on this. I get it now. I thought that they were kind of like, we don't know if we'll ever want a nuke, but we'll work on it because maybe one day in the future. That was my understanding. Because I was like, well, they're falling along this because they're getting tested and they're like, everything's fine. But all right, I get it. Iran, yeah, I knew that the Ayatollah was anti-nuke, but also I know that the Ayatollah, while having influence, there's also a president, there's also a parliament. Maybe they're like, we should invest in nuke bomb technology just in case, you know? I know that their government's a lot more complicated than the West makes it out to be, right? And it's not just about nukes, it's also about the delivery vehicle. Okay, wait. Emi Yamamoto 99. This is a parallel to the space race technology with missile technology, interballistic. It's two faces of the same coin. Okay. We need Weapons Wednesday. I need it. I need Weapons Wednesday. I need a crash course in weapons on Weapons Wednesday. This is what I need. Because it's hard. It's hard. If you don't have the weapons-based knowledge, it's hard to figure this out. Right? No, the Hasanabi Doctrine for Nation Building. Oh yeah, I have seen this. I've seen people post this. Yes. This makes sense to me. This is rational. Okay, this makes sense. So, I get it now. We got Take Tuesday, we got Weapons Wednesday. Alright. Okay. So, they need to get a nuke. I really think. Under no pretext should you not do Weapons Wednesday. All right, so we're doing Weapons Wednesday. We're going to try it next week. We're going to learn all about ballistic missile technology. I'm going to start pulling up videos of people teaching you about weapons. You think anyone who could claim to know whether Iran was trying to make a nuke bomb or not is full of shit. Okay. I mean, does it matter? Does it even matter if they were, though? It is my whole thing. I guess I've never paid attention to it because it's like, who fucking cares? Right? Like, it'd be good for them if they did. It doesn't really matter because we shouldn't have a say in that. We have 5,000 nukes. Who fucking cares if another country has one? Right? It only matters insofar as the United States definitely won't fuck with them at that point, I guess. Should David host Weapons Wednesday? Oh my god. We can all learn weapons together. Yes. Exactly. If there was any question about whether or not they had a nuke, the U.S. would not have bombed them. They definitely weren't even close. Yes. Okay, that makes sense. Israel has so many nukes. Like, to me, I'm just like, whether they have a nuke or not is like irrelevant ethically or morally or as a negotiating tool. We have 5,000. Who fucking cares? Right? Who fucking cares? The U.S. cares because it would give them sovereignty. I mean, yes, exactly that. That is true. Because it would give them something to level the playing field. It would be like North Korea and they can't fight back. All right. Well, having them was a good idea. And that's the thing. I think it is a good idea for these countries. But I think for me, as an American citizen, why am I going to care? Right? Why does it fucking matter to me? And it does matter, obviously, for our government and if they want to go to war and how much it levels the playing field. But I just think that, like, as a sales pitch, the idea that another country has a nuclear weapon does not convince me as an American that they're an imminent threat to us. Like, not half the world, but, like, a lot of countries have nuclear weapons, right? Finland is thinking of lifting its nuclear weapons ban. Russia is not happy. Wow. Very, very interesting. Yeah. I mean, and look at the development that the DPRK has been able to do, obviously, right? As a result of having a nuclear weapon. But yeah, I just think as a sales pitch to me as an American, I'm like, you're going to have to do better than that. You're going to have to do better than a country might or might not have nuclear capabilities when my country has 5,000 nuclear weapons. It doesn't work on me. That doesn't do anything for me. Okay, so this is the news story. More than 100 reported killed in a strike on a girls' elementary school in Iran. Here's what we know, but this is from 5 days ago, so this is not the updated one. The updated one we looked at was this one. The analysis suggests the school was hit amid U.S. strikes on Iranian naval bases. A body of evidence assembled by the New York Times, including newly released satellite imagery, social media posts, and verified videos, indicates the school building was severely damaged by a precision strike that occurred at the same time as attacks on an adjacent naval base operated by the IRGC. Now, what's funny is that now people on Twitter are responding to this and like, why even put a school that close to a military target? And I'm like, okay, like over 100 military bases, American military bases have schools on them, right? Like I think it's like 161 or something like that, if I remember correctly. And official statements that U.S. forces were attacking naval targets near the Strait of Hormuz, where the IRGC base is located, suggest they were most likely to have carried out the strike. The White House referred the Times to remarks by then Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt at a news conference on Wednesday. When asked if the United States had conducted the airstrike on a school, she responded, "Not that we know of, but the Department of War is investigating." Fork's gonna do Weapons Wednesday. Ms. Silva says, honestly, I've been thinking recently about how nukes are not actually very good battlefield weapons. They're mostly useful politically and diplomatically because if we're being realistic, vaporizing everything in a 10-mile radius of any location is not useful for almost any real military purpose except terrorism. It's way too imprecise. That's true. It really is a psychological kind of a negotiating technique. It is. Right? So determining precisely what happened has been impeded by the lack of visible weapon fragments and the inability of outside reporters to reach the scene. The total death toll is yet to be independently confirmed, but Iranian health officials and state media said the strike has killed around 175 people. Now, in the past, when they have released death tolls, Iran has been very accurate compared to unbiased or less biased, rather random third-party assessments. Like during the protests, they said it was around 3,000 people. Most other orgs that weren't affiliated with the United States or Israel said it was 3,000 as well. So they seem to be pretty consistent in reporting death toll numbers, so I feel like the 175 is probably correct. And the several days since the attack, U.S. officials have neither confirmed nor denied responsibility. Pete Hegseth said on Wednesday that an investigation was underway. Nadav Shoshani, an Israeli military spokesman, told reporters on Sunday that as of now, he was not aware of any Israeli military operation in that area at that time. U.S. officials in public statements have indicated that on the day in question, U.S. planes were conducting operations in the region where the school was located. And this is very, very fucking sad. This is them literally digging the graves for 175 people. It's very people, most of them children. Some were teachers, that's why we can't say it's all children, but over 100 children, right? Very, very sad. The elementary school is the small southern town of Minab, more than 600 miles from Tehran, but near the critical waterway of the Strait of Hormuz. Since Saturday is the start of the Iranian work week, children and teachers were in class at the time of the strike, health officials in Iranian state media said. The strikes were first reported on social media shortly after 11:30 a.m. local time. Large plumes of smoke were billowing from the area, the base of the school. Here are people searching through the rubble. It's very, very fucking sad. oh God, like the little kids' books and everything. People were holding backpacks. I mean, it's just, so horrible. Ugh. So the Times ordered a new satellite imagery from the provider Planet Labs, and this imagery showed that multiple precision strikes hit at least 6 Revolutionary Guard buildings along with the school. 4 buildings inside the naval base were completely destroyed, and 2 other buildings showed impact points at the center of the roofs consistent with precision hits. Wes J. Bryan, a national security analyst who served in the U.S. Air Force, was a senior advisor on civilian harm at the Pentagon, and he reviewed the new satellite images and concluded that all of the buildings, including the school, had been hit with picture-perfect target strikes. So this means, oh, bye, Virgo. Thank you for everything. You heard the crow? God, my house really does not have real walls. Bye. So he's saying that the school was hit on purpose, that all these buildings were hit on purpose. Mr. Bryant, who's been critical of the Trump administration, said the most likely explanation was that the school had been a target misidentification, that forces had attacked the site without realizing it might have had a large number of civilians inside. That actually makes sense. That's what I would guess as well. Very, very interesting. So they just didn't know they bombed a school. They were like, it's a military base, we're bombing it. And they're like, whoopsie, killed 100 children. And that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't matter. Even if it had been, right, an Iran misfire, it wouldn't matter. Because it doesn't matter if it's on purpose or not. It's like, this is what war does. This is what war does. Bad things happen in war. Children die in war. So the idea that we can just go starting wars willy-nilly, start blowing things up willy-nilly, it's inherently a destructive, evil thing that affects civilians, that has massive ramifications for the region, even if you did have precision targets that only hit military sites. This would still be something that affected civilians. There's this myth that you can have an ethical war or a better war or a moral war. And the reality is that unless it is like, you know, the people rising up to form a new socialist government, you're not going to have an ethical war. There is no ethical war aside from that, aside from a liberation. You either have a liberation-based movement or you don't. You have chaos and destruction and violence, and that's what this is. So it wouldn't matter if Iran had a misfire from one of their missiles. It would still be the United States and Israel's fault, right? It didn't matter if it was on purpose or an accident. It was still the United States and Israel's fault. Yeah, it was an Iran misfire. Oh, and why are they firing? I'll wait. Exactly. Thank you. Azul omnipresence. But it wasn't. It was the United States, and we won't even fucking probably cop to this, right? It's just absolutely repulsive. So we have some more stuff we can get into talking about this. I think this one's really interesting. We've got a lot of interesting stuff. I'm going to take a bathroom break really fast, and we're going to get into this. I might run a little late today, a little long today. We might go until 12 because I have kind of a light workload for my normal day, and there's a lot to talk about here, and I think it'll be fun. So give me a second for a bathroom break. I'll be right back, and we'll talk more. hi, I'm back. Sorry. Oh, I love what happened in the chat. Go piss squirrel is my favorite. That's the non-binary version of the meme. Go piss squirrel. Thank you all. Okay. So I should rickroll you with the screensaver. That would be smart. All right. You're gonna hydrate. I'm gonna have to take another bathroom break before we're done. Okay, so let's get into the next section of our Iran catch-all. All right. So we have Trump telling CNN that he's not worried whether Iran becomes a democratic state. This is wild because isn't the whole reason why we're bombing them for like freedom and democracy, according to us? But it's hard because we never got a firm pitch. We never got that firm pitch, so we don't know what the motive is. I thought it was freedom and democracy like always. And Trump's like, I actually don't give a fuck if they're democratic or not. Which is wild. Because they do have a democracy. They do vote for shit there, right? Like, and the United States, again, as we've discussed, does not have a democracy. We do not have a democracy at all. Again, like the Princeton study finding that if the people want something that like 800 rich dudes don't, the 330 million people are not getting what they want. The 800 rich dudes are getting what they want. We found this to be true in public policy. So we don't have a democracy. So Trump is at least being honest. And this is the thing where he's always honest, where he's like, I literally don't give a fuck if they're democratic or not. That has nothing to do with that, anything. He really is the best at giving out the game. Yeah. He's just mask off. He's like, yes, the CIA is there. We're bombing them because we want to, and we can. I don't give a fuck about democracy. Like, what? Like, ugh, why would you say that? He really is just going all in. Yeah, he just loves to kill people for love of the game. For love of the game. So Donald Trump told CNN on Friday, that's today, that Iran's leadership has been neutered and that he's looking for new leadership that will treat the United States and Israel well. That must be news to Iran. I think that's news to Iran. I think he's saying this because it gives in to that, like, myth that the Ayatollah was a dictator in charge of everything, but that's not how the government structure works. So he's saying he doesn't care if it's a religious leader and not a democratic state. He's like, whoever's going to be nice to us, that's who I want there. Yeah, no shit. No fucking shit. Right? That's no shit. That's why you love the Shah. It's going to be like an American Idol casting call. Exactly. And that's when we were talking about that other group that's emerged as a secular group. What was it? MEK, I think is what it was called. You guys remember that one we were talking about? That's gaining a lot of power in the United States? The MEK, yes. This is it. The People's Mojahedin Organization of Iran that's been talking to people here in the United States, trying to court favor with American politicians here. So he's like, I don't really care who it is, as long as it gets the job done and they do what we need. Right? Yeah, bombing everybody because of Freedom Burger. Exactly. Iran is not the same country it was a week ago. A week ago, they were powerful. Now they've indeed been neutered, he told CNN in a brief but wide-ranging phone interview. I don't know how accurate that is. I mean, you bombed their children. You killed a 90-year-old man and 100 little girls. That is true. That is fucked. That is psychologically disturbing, right? But in terms of being neutered, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. There's a lot of people, I guess, who are analyzing the weapons in terms of how many drones Iran has left, and Iran, I guess, is relying more on drone capabilities. You know, it's hard. It's hard to know. In that call, he also said Cuba would fall pretty soon and emphasized the importance of voter ID legislation, which he suggested could be determinative in his Texas Senate endorsement. He wants to keep the poors and the blacks from voting. Great. Nice. Trump expressed confidence in the ease of picking a new leader in Iran, which he said he must be involved in, and again compared the mission to Venezuela, where the U.S. captured Nicolas Maduro earlier this year and put his deputy in power. So this is, again, he's like, it's going to be like Venezuela. We're going to go in, we're going to get rid of the people we don't like, and then we're going to put new guys in place. Regime change. Textbook regime change, and he's masked off with it being regime change. And he says it's going to work very easily. It's going to work just like it did in Venezuela. We have a wonderful leader there. She's doing a fantastic job, and it's going to work like in Venezuela, he said, referring to acting president Delcy Rodriguez. Trump also said he was open to having a religious leader in Iran. Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, it depends on who the person is. I don't mind a religious leader. I deal with a lot of religious leaders, and they're fantastic. At least he's being honest, right? At least he's being honest. And pressed on if he's insisting there needs to be a democratic state, Trump told CNN, no, I'm saying there has to be a leader that's going to be fair and just, do a great job, treat the United States and Israel well, and treat the other countries in the Middle East. They're all our partners. Okay, so he's just saying the quiet part out loud. He's like, I don't give a fuck as long as they do what the United States and Israel wants. Right? Like, he's just saying it. He's just fucking saying it. Wait, how are you dealing with the people who react to your videos? I don't know. I don't watch them. I don't know what they do. They're all ding-dongs, though. And that's, like, the thing is, like, making a Madeline Pendleton hate video gets you, like, 1 million views and, like, all these likes and a ton of money. So they just do it. It's an industry. We call it the Madeline Pendleton Video Reply Industrial Complex. So they just make money. I'm just like, they're weird grifters. I don't know. Yeah. He's saying this stuff out in the open, and the liberals in diaspora still do not get it. Yeah. And he's like, literally, all I care about is regime change. Get them in there. Make sure that they're good to the United States and Israel. I don't give a fuck about anything else. I don't care about if they're theocratic. I don't care about if they're secular. I don't care if they have democracy or not. And he says, I became very friendly with all those countries. That's why they're all fighting for us. Before I got involved, we didn't even speak to the UAE and Saudi Arabia. You know, Biden shut out. Biden and Obama shut Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar. He shut them all out. Biden and Obama, he shut them all out, one guy. They were all going to China. I got involved in a very short period of time and became my friends. I love the way this guy talks. Just almost sentences. A YouTuber you're following made a vid bad-mouthing me and was immediate unsub. Who was it? Was it somebody I know? Was it Kat? China. Oh, she's such a grifter. Yeah, changing their tune later. She wrote a fucking think piece about me. It's probably still up on her blog. What a fucking psycho. Because now she wants to change her tune. Now she's saying the same thing I was saying. Same thing she tried to get me canceled for. Now she's saying. These losers! So while the president praised the U.S. operation against Iran, saying it's a 12, maybe a 15 out of the scale of 10. This fucking guy, right? Permaculture Productions. Oh my God, was it Park Rose Permaculture? Park Rose Permaculture's insane. The thing that trips me out about her is she's like my age. She's like a 40-year-old woman, but she's kids. She's a family. I'm like, girl, what are you doing getting on the internet starting TikTok beef? You're fucking 40 years old. I'm 40 years old, and I can tell you right now, I've never made a video bad-mouthing another content creator out of nowhere in my life. I only will defend myself when people do weird things to me. Because that is stuff you do when you're 7. That is stuff you do when you're 12. That is stuff you do when you're 15. Not stuff you do when you're fucking 40 years old and you have a family and kids. That's crazy. That Park Rose Permaculture chick, she's insane. I'm like, why are you doing this at your big age? That's wild. She's very Portland coded. She's very Portland. Fork even fucking hates her. Listen. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yup. Fork says, fuck the Portland lib mobs. We're always right early. They always come around. It's fucking psycho. You live in Portland? You know what? I love the Portland gays. I love the Portland leftist gays. I love you guys. When I go to Portland, I'm always very, very happy. Oh, my partner's coming home. That's what it is. That's what's going on. Portland derogatory. The Portland leftists I like a lot. It's the Portland libs that are weird. I'm going to close my door really fast. Hold on. Hi, Lisa. Are you still streaming? You can see here how much Fork likes my work. I forgot because they went to work so early. They're off super early. Yeah. Pacific Northwest leftist, pray for you. I will be praying for you. But yeah, there's like so much stuff about Portland that I like a lot, and I feel like it's changed a lot in bad ways and good ways. Like it did get super like lib-pilled weird, but then because of that, I think there's a strong left wing, like an actual leftist resistance there, like an actual socialist resistance to that energy there that I think has been very, very inspiring to watch happen. So yeah. Where are the California leftists? Everywhere. I think, yeah, the libs in Portland are particularly egregious. Like, if you just go to Alberta and you look at all the in this house, we believe, in the Alberta, and you're like, this used to be a black neighborhood. Like, what happened here? I think that, like, sums up the liberal hypocrisy in Portland in particular. But I do actually love the socialists in Portland are, like, some of my favorite people. Yeah. Yeah, those signs. I call them the in this house libs. I'm like, I can't do an in this house lib. I cannot fucking do those. Hydrating. Okay, so back to Donald Trump. He's like, this is the best airstrike on Iran. Scale of 1 to 10, 12, maybe 15. This fucking guy. And he's like, who cares about gas? Gas prices, that's short term. It'll go down quickly. We've already figured out the Strait of Hormuz. Very, very fascinating. Very, very fascinating. So Trump now also says Cuba's going to fall pretty soon. Ugh, so upsetting. They want to make a deal so badly. They want to make a deal. So I'm going to pull Marco Rubio over there. Oh, we'll see how that deal works. Okay. I got something stuck to my lipstick. We're really focused on this one right now. We've got plenty of time, but Cuba's ready after 50 years. He continued on Cuba. I've been watching it for 50 years, and it's fallen right into my lap. Because of me, it's fallen. But it's nevertheless fallen right into my lap, and we're doing very well. I have a hard time believing that Cuba actually wants to fall like that. They've survived so much. They've stood up to so much, you know? We want to do that special Cuba. We want to do that special Cuba? What the fuck is he even saying? I can't even understand the way this guy talks. What? Hi, Fork. Hi. Hello. Fork sighting. Hi. What's up? Hello. Did you come to say hi? Yeah, that's really nice. You're very tall. Oh, hi. Hello. Hi. Yeah, I think his mind might be slipping, honestly. Forky. Hi, you my good girl. Hi. Don't lick in the mouth. Don't lick in the mouth. Hi. Fork, everyone says you're a good girl. You're a good girl, yeah. You're very good. You're the best chairman ever. You're the cutest chairman ever, that's for sure, yes. Your chairman looked just like Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks chairman. Isn't she so cute? Our chairwoman. She's so good. Trump's brain is 80% tapioca. Chair dog Fork. Yes. Fork maxing. We fork maxed. So I don't fucking understand what he's talking about. He says, let's get this one finished first with Iran. So this means that Cuba might have a chance. Because if Donald Trump is like, we're dealing with Iran first, I've got an order of operations, and Iran takes fucking forever, this could mean relief for Cuba. Right? This could be relief for Cuba, which would be nice. Cuba needs a win right now. Cuba needs a fucking win. After the war with Iran, Trump said the next most important issue for his administration is passing voter ID legislation, because voter ID legislation is how they keep poor people from voting. Very, very obvious. Your next one is going to be, we want to do that special, Cuba. Oh, that actually makes sense. So then he said that he wants to push he's like talking about the Save America Act and making a decision fairly shortly. And then I feel very strongly we will have the full and complete Save America Act. Okay, I want the Save America Act. It's more important than anything we're working on other than the war. Okay, all right. We have to have voter ID. We have to have proof of citizenship. We have no mail-in ballots except the military, illness, disability, and travel. That's insane. California's all mail-in ballots. Almost everybody I know does mail-in ballots. Very, very crazy. Eliminating the filibuster, blah, 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 blah. Okay, all right. She's got some domestic policy stuff. Okay. No, all right. Death toll in Iran, meanwhile, raises to at least 1,300 since the war broke out. Cost to U.S. for war on Iran is $3.7 billion in the first 100 hours. When we checked that tracker website, someone in the chat shared it was up to over $6 billion. And it's just getting more pricey by the day. So the United States-Israeli war on Iran is estimated to have cost Washington $3.7 billion so far in its first 100 hours alone, or nearly $900 million a day. Just a reminder, it's estimated that it would cost around $25 billion each to end homelessness and hunger in the USA. Just for anybody keeping tabs at home. So 25 days of war with Iran could end homelessness in the United States for a year. 50 days of war with Iran could end homelessness and hunger in the United States for a year. CNN paywall is crazy. I know. It's like, nobody's paying for that. We're going to do that. It's absolutely fucking wild, right? So this is driven by the huge expenditure of munitions, according to new research. Great. Weapons. I need weapons Wednesday. An analysis by Washington-based think tank for the Center for Strategic and International Studies underlined the colossal cost of the war, which entered its 7th day on Friday, as the U.S. attacks Iran with stealth bombers and advanced weapon systems. Researchers Mark Kensian and Chris Parks said only a small amount of the estimated $3.7 billion cost of the war in the first 100 hours, or $900 million each day, was already budgeted for, while most of the cost, $3.5 billion, was not. They literally can fucking find money. They can pull money out of thin air whenever they want to. But whenever we need something, yeah, it's too expensive. It's too fucking expensive. I do not understand how people still believe the Democrats when the Democrats say shit like free housing and free healthcare is impossible. I don't get it. It's just wild. If the Republicans are able to invent $3.5 billion for a war out of nowhere, the Democrats can fucking invent $3.5 billion for, like, food assistance, healthcare aid, and they're not. So why can the Republicans come up with magic money for all their bullshit and Democrats can't again? Oh, it's because they don't actually want to. That's what it is. So they're talking about the expenses here. The Pentagon's going to have to request more money. It'll get it, right? The U.S. had expended more than 2,000 munitions of various types in the first 100 hours of the war. It would cost $3.1 billion to replenish the munitions inventory on a like-for-like basis, with the cost increasing by $758 million a day. What? That's wild. Wait, the cost increasing by $758 million a day? Wow. And Pete Hegseth said that the U.S. bombardment on Iran, of course, is about to surge dramatically, entailing more fighter squadrons, more defensive capabilities, and more bomber pulses more frequently. The unbudgeted cost here will be substantial. This is crazy. They said that this was unlike the recent U.S. operations that led to the abduction of Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro, where the costs were already in the budget. This means that the Department of Defense will need additional funds at some point because the level of budget cuts needed to fund this conflict internally would likely be politically and operationally difficult. Okay, so they know it's not going to be easy. So when Donald Trump's out here being like, it's going to be so easy, it's just going to be Venezuela, it's not even like he believes that. His team is like, no, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be more expensive and it's going to be more difficult. Right? Because this is him, or is this... No, sorry. No, it wasn't. I thought it was Hegseth who said that, but it wasn't. It was the third party to the report. Okay, so Donald Trump might still be pathological. He might literally still have had the power go to his head so much that he thinks it is just going to be like Venezuela. He might still believe that. We don't know. The third party report is like, there's no way this is going to be like Venezuela. This is way more expensive. So that makes more sense. Right? Okay. War costs likely to shock Congress. Reporting from Washington, Al Jazeera's Rosalind Jordan said the high cost of the war was probably coming as a shock to members of Congress and the general public. She said the Pentagon had reportedly put together a $50 billion supplemental budget request in order to replace Tomahawk and Patriot missiles and THAAD interceptors already used in the first week of the war, along with other equipment that had been damaged or worn out so far. The military burn rate has been rather high, she said. Congress was already concerned about the budget deficit and the interest on the federal debt, she added. Another $50 billion might give some legislators pause. Now, this is the thing. The Democrats keep being like, we control the purse strings of the war. The Republicans are in for a big surprise because we control the budget. We control the money. I'm pretty sure the Democrats are just going to vote to approve whatever military package they want, though. Like, they support the war. The Democrats have applauded the war in Iran, just said they're not so happy with how they went about doing it. The Democrats wanted war with Iran. So I don't understand why people are like all of a sudden thinking the Democrats aren't going to approve the military budget. I think they're going to approve the military budget in Congress, right? That seems just like wishful thinking. They also like the war. They support the war. So more than 1,300 people have been killed so far in Iran since the bombing began, with UNICEF saying at least 181 children are among the dead. So we spent, instead of getting, right, free healthcare, free housing, free food, whatever, we spent billions of dollars to kill 180 little kids in Iran. Cool. Cool. In Lebanon, the death toll from Israeli attacks this week has risen to 123 people. And at least 6 U.S. servicemen have died in the conflict, while 11 people in Israel have also died. There have also been 9 deaths so far in the Gulf Arab countries. We need to keep receipts for the Democrats when they win again. I mean, we do. Okay, so we have 2 more stories here that I think are interesting. Mid-Press News is obviously more left-wing, so we're going to get left-wing analysis, but I do think we could touch on the New York Times story about the Kurds. So my guess is that the United States and Israel are relying on the Kurds to help with the ground invasion. And my speculation is that the terrain in Iran is difficult, and they want the Kurds to be the ones at least involved in the ground invasion because they're more knowledgeable about the terrain because of their proximity, their location. This is my guess. Admittedly, as somebody who is, though, not super good at the weapons, maybe I don't know how the weapons would affect this. But That gap in my knowledge is going to get so filled when we start doing Weapons Wednesday. Maybe Weapons Wednesday will be a special treat from the chat. The chat can recommend we learn about one weapon every Wednesday at the beginning of the hour. Right? Right? Yes. Okay. So, spread across Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey, the ethnic group of 40 million has long sought and fought for greater autonomy. 40 million is significant. I always try to put things in terms of like the United States so I can understand. I'm in California. We have around 40 million people here. So this is around the size of California. It's not nothing. It's a very, very large. Yeah, we can pull the weapon. Exactly. I think that would be so fun. Weapons Wednesday. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So Iranian Kurdish forces based in Iraq are preparing armed units that could be sent into Iran, potentially with U.S. support, in an insurgency that would open a new front against the Iranian government. So basically, the Kurdish forces in Iraq, who are from Iran, are preparing armed units that might go into Iran with U.S. support. So this is the pro-American Kurdish forces that are preparing. So remember when Netanyahu and Trump were talking about this, and Netanyahu was like they're all going to be into it, and then Trump was like, I don't know, and then analysts were like, yeah, only some of the Kurds are interested. Some of them have been burned by the United States in the past. They're skeptical of the Turkey thing. So basically, we see that the Kurds are divided on this issue because no group of 40 million people is fucking monolith in what they want. So the White House has denied that it agreed to any plan for the Kurds to launch an insurgency in Iran, but the United States has also had a long history of working with Kurdish militias around the region, and they also were talking about how they wanted to court them, so, whatever. It has also had a reputation for abandoning them. After the 1991 Persian Gulf War, the United States encouraged a Kurdish uprising in Iraq, then stood by as the Iraqi army slaughtered Kurdish forces. So this is when people are like, we don't necessarily trust them. This is what they're talking about. So the Kurds are an ethnic group of roughly 40 million people spread largely across 4 countries, like we mentioned, Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. They've long sought either a state of their own or greater autonomy, and are often considered the largest contiguous ethnic group in the world without an independent state. In the aftermath of World War I and the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, Kurds across the Middle East were promised a nation of their own by world powers, but it never came to be. Exactly, they're tools. And you'll see that the U.S. government does this with many ethnic minority groups that don't have their own state. This is exactly what we did with the Hmong people in Laos, right? We do this all the time. So I know about that, obviously, because after the war, the Hmong people were brought out and they were dropped by the CIA in Fresno. And so there's a large Hmong population in Fresno and in Minneapolis. That's where they are. So we do this with a lot of ethnic minorities, and that's what we do with the Kurds in the region. So in the aftermath of World War I and the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, Kurds across the Middle East were promised a nation of their own by world powers, but it never came to be. Shout out to the Hmong! Minneapolis win. Yes. Are you Hmong? Moonfly.2N? Or do you just also have an appreciation and affinity for Hmong culture around you? Yeah, some of the Tibet diaspora too. Yeah. Many Kurds blame the Sykes-Picot Agreement of 1916, a secret deal between Britain and France that carved up the Middle East along often illogical boundaries for denying them a country of their own. And no, you just love our neighbors, especially with that right now. Yeah. Also, I think that I grew up in Fresno surrounded by Hmong culture, and I think Hmong culture is just like, everybody's culture is interesting, whatever, but like Hmong culture is like so beautiful. Like the outfits are so beautiful, like everything's so aesthetic. You're like, oh, this is so nice. It's like a visually nice addition to your community, which I think made it so that when I left Fresno, I immediately noticed there were no Hmong people. Like when I moved to Santa Cruz from Fresno, I was like, wait, why aren't there any Hmong people here? What's happening? Because you notice it. You see these are very visible members of your community, which I think is very interesting. Oh, and Anchorage too. Interesting. Very interesting. So Kurdish people since then have faced varying degrees of discrimination, including bans on speaking their own language, celebrating their culture, or even receiving citizenship. Those measures fueled calls for greater Kurdish autonomy. Some countries saw the rise of armed groups, such as the Kurdistan Workers' Party, which is considered a terrorist organization by Turkey, because they've got beef with Turkey, right? The United States and other countries. Now, how big is Iran's Kurdish minority? So Kurds make up 10% of Iran's population, which is pretty significant. They are concentrated in the northwest along its border with Iraq. So if here is Iran and here is Iraq, remember they're kind of here-ish, right? Let's look at that topographic map. Of what's going on here. here's the Northwest, right? So I imagine there might be a concentration here. This was my guess, but definitely up here as well. So you're saying up here, that's this little dip. We're comparing. So this map has something of significance up here as well. Yes. Okay. At one point, Kurdish protesters seized control of, this is what they seized control of, Oshnevia. Okay, a city in the Kurdish region of Iran that was soon retaken by government forces. Okay, so this is the Kurdish region up here as well. And it was a Kurdish Iranian woman, Mahsa Amini, who died after she was arrested by the country's morality police. So that, we all obviously remember that, and that actually sparked a lot of internal protests. Oh, I'm not showing you guys, sorry. Here is the map, and then compared to here is the map. I'm so sorry I missed that, you guys. So this area is more of the Kurdish area of Iran. So the protests that broke out among Mahsa Amini, which everybody remembers probably from 2022, she was Kurdish. That also sparked a number of protests in the country that got them to actually reduce their requirements for things like covering your hair with a headscarf and things like that. And that's why now when you look at videos of Iran, you'll see a lot of women with their hair uncovered because those protests changed that. Very, very fascinating. So this is not all about the headscarf, said Hana Yazdanpa, a spokeswoman for the Kurdistan Freedom Party, an Iranian paramilitary group based in Iraq at the time. The Kurds want freedom. Some Iranian Kurdish armed groups are based in Iraqi Kurdistan, a region in the north of Iraq that broke away from the central government's control in 1992 with U.S. support. It is recognized as a semi-autonomous region by the United Nations and the United States, amongst others. So basically, the United States are really trying to continue to use the Kurds as a tool of whatever political ambition we have in the region. But some of the Kurds are getting sick of playing ball because they're like, we don't get anything. Comrade Duggan, you're doing Ramadan for once. Wow. Okay, I will drink all the water for us. Okay. I know we're looking at the Middle East in a view that is different, as both the Kurds and the Dervish were seen as enforcers for the Ottomans and the tribal aspects of pre-World War I. Most people skip, and really it's like why the Saudis pre-1919 were literally in the position that the Palestinians are today. Yeah, it is really interesting. David and I have been talking about Armenia, obviously, so we've been talking about the Ottoman Empire. And, I think when I learned about the Ottoman Empire at first in school, I was younger. So I was like, that was, so long ago. Oh, my God. That was, almost 100 years ago. Who cares? But now today, getting older, being like, holy shit, that wasn't that long ago. The collapse of a massive entity like the Ottoman Empire and how many factions came out of it and how much instability happened in the region, I think is really, really interesting. And we keep coming back to it when we hear about regional instability and conflict on different groups that are involved against each other, right? You hear about it all the time. Everything keeps coming back to this, right? Right, the fall of the Ottoman Empire literally created today's geopolitics. Yep. And when you're young, when I first learned about this, when I was in high school taking AP European history or whatever, I was like, whatever, it's stupid Ottoman Empire, I don't even care. And now I'm like, shit, the fucking Ottoman Empire again, right? It's very interesting. It keeps coming up. So, will the Kurds join in fighting in Iran? It isn't clear. And this is the bet, I think, that Netanyahu and Trump, I think they were betting on it. I think they thought yes, right? Kurdish militias have previously crossed borders to aid one another, most notably in Syria's civil war. Kurds from Turkey, Iraq, and Iran came together to fight there alongside Syria's minority. It's unknown to what extent an armed uprising in Iran's Kurdish region would galvanize other Kurds around the region. So they're like, okay, maybe the Iranian Kurds are going to do it with U.S. backing. Well, does that mean that Kurds in other areas will as well? I'm actually curious what the population numbers are for the Iranian Kurds. We know it was 10%. How many people is that? It's because it's 9 or 10 million. Duh, because they have 90 million. I'm so dumb. So it's not insignificant. That's not nothing, right? So it's not clear how many of those people would join in the fight, how much support they would really need. Oh, and they say this here. It is unknown to what extent an armed uprising obviously would galvanize them. But Iraqi Kurds on Thursday took pains to distinguish themselves from the Iranian Kurds in their country, with leading figures voicing opposition to joining any fighting. So in Iraq, they're like, fuck that, we're not doing that. The Kurdistan Regional Government, which governs the semi-autonomous region in the north of the country, said in a social media post that it was not part of any campaign to expand the war intentions in the region. Shahnaz Ibrahim Ahmed, the First Lady of Iraq, who was Kurdish, issued a statement echoing that sentiment. The Kurds in Iraq have finally achieved a measure of stability and dignity in life. And it would not be accepting being treated as pawns by the world's superpower, she wrote. Leave the Kurds alone. We are not guns for hire. Damn, she went off with that. She really went off for that, right? That is so true. For more than a decade, Kurdish forces in Syria were the United States' closest allies in fighting against ISIS, guarding American bases and running internment camps and prisons that held tens of thousands of ISIS fighters and their relatives. And obviously, we know that all of the terrorist instability that popped up in this region was largely American-backed and created, right? So all of these terrorist groups, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, it's like this is the United States, our proxy Israel, we had a hand in creating all of this. So the alliance has been disintegrating, however, as the United States has thrown its support behind the new government of Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara. Okay, so will the Kurds join in? We don't know. We don't know, right? Now, our favorite guys, the CIA, from 2 days ago. The CIA has given small weapons to Iranian Kurdish forces in Iraq in a covert program that began before the current war. So the CIA is there. They're like, get in there. Get in there, Iranian Kurds. Let's go. So pro-American Iranian Kurdish forces based in Iraq are now preparing armed units that could enter Iran, creating a potential new front in an already expanding conflict, according to Iraqi officials and senior members of Iranian Kurdish groups. The CIA has previously given small arms to the Iranian Kurdish forces as part of a covert program to destabilize Iran, an effort that began before the current war, according to people familiar with the effort. All right? I've got this Lawrence Arabia thing. Yeah, I'm going to stay on track so I can wrap this up before I have to go. But this is very interesting to me about the Ottoman Empire, obviously. It's so relevant to everything. So again, this is wild because the CIA will literally be like, we are arming Iranian Kurds in a covert program to destabilize Iran before the war even broke out. And then the government will literally get on Twitter and be like, there were Mossad agents destabilizing Iran. And Mossad will get on Twitter and be like, Iran, we are here destabilizing you. And liberals would be like, oh my God, why is everything like the CIA and Mossad with you guys? You're conspiracy theorists. It's wild. Yeah, we could raid Robin's show today. It's wild. But in a briefing on Wednesday, Carolyn Leavitt, White House press secretary, said reports that President Trump had agreed any plans for the Kurds to launch an insurgency in Iran were completely false. I don't know about that. The U.S.-Israeli bombing campaign in Iran that began on Saturday has killed the country's supreme leader and other top officials. It has also targeted government and security facilities, including on the Iran-Iraq border. American officials are debating the utility of a Kurdish incursion as fighting intensifies, according to the people briefed on the situation. Now, this story is from 2 days ago, just so we know. Any U.S. effort to assist the Kurds in beginning an incursion into Iran or any sort of insurgency there would be a surprising twist in the war. I mean, is it surprising? We've all been talking about it. We all knew. The CIA was arming them to do this before the war even broke out. I don't think it's surprising. I think we all know what's going on, right? If large enough, the incursion could force Iranian army units to respond, allowing American or Israeli planes to target them. We want to use them as our ground forces. We want to sacrifice them to the gods of Western warfare. Very obviously. Oh, posture check, thanks. The United States has a long history of working with Kurdish militia forces in Iraq and Syria. We talked about this before. They're recycling the same language even, but we also have a history of abandoning them. There are an estimated 6 million to 9 million Kurds in the country of 90 million people. Okay, these were the numbers I was looking at. It's pretty significant. Trump asked two Iraqi Kurdish leaders, Masoud Barzani and Bafel Talabani, to enable Iranian Kurdish fighters based in Iraq to move into Iran, according to two Iranian Kurdish leaders and two Iraqi security officials. One of the Iranian Kurdish officials said Trump had a separate call on Tuesday to discuss sending forces over the border with the heads of one of those Kurdish groups, Mustafa Hijri of the Kurdistan Democratic Party of Iran. So nobody elaborated on what form the support might take. It's just going to be weapons and money. What do you mean? What other form could the support take? Weapons and money. What? That's what it always does. So the CIA has declined to comment on the effort to support the Kurds, and it is not clear precisely when they began arming the Kurds, but it is part of a long-term covert campaign by the agency to destabilize the Iranian government, according to those familiar with the effort. Former officials said it was never meant to topple the government in Tehran, but aimed at distracting leaders or potentially creating a security crisis. The CIA effort to arm the Kurdish forces was earlier reported by CNN. Axios reported on a call between Kurdish leaders in Iraq and Mr. Trump to discuss the war in Iran. Several Iranian Kurdish leaders described the strikes in western Iran as part of an effort to support an infiltration from Iraq. Okay, interesting. And they've got Some more about the Iraq and Iran border. The Kurdistan Free Life Party, Sayman Mawani, says we are fighting for freedom, and of course we are fighting against the military that is harming our people. So since the war began, proxy militias have aligned with Iran, have struck a U.S. base in Iraq's northern Kurdistan region. They have also hit the region's international airport. War bad. War, everybody's fighting. I just realized that's something my partner and I say when we play Civ, and a war breaks out, and then all your resources go to keeping up the war, and then you're not able to do anything to win the game, and we're just like, war bad, and we never learn the lesson. We just keep doing the war thing, and then later we're like, fuck, war bad. That's like that. FRSO is the third, bleach bottle. If you're joining a Marxist-Leninist org in the United States, the three biggest ones are CPUSA, PSL, and FRSO. Yeah. I made you buy Civ? Are you loving it? Are you loving it? I know. War bad. Shocking. Right. Yeah. War bad. So this is also the story where it originally broke March. Oh, they updated it March 4th. Oh my God, I'm locked out of the paywall. But yeah, CIA working to arm Kurdish forces to spark uprising in Iran. I am actually interested in this, so I'm going to try the archive.ph for this one. We'll get into it because it is interesting. Let's go. Okay. Yes. Here we go. You were told that FRSO is Maoist. That was a lie that I have not seen them be explicitly Maoist. I've seen them only be Marxist-Leninist. Who told you? I don't know. If somebody in FRSO told you they're more Maoist, I would trust that. I have worked with our FRSO at joint things before with orgs I've been in. I was not under the impression they were Maoist at all. I thought they were Marxist-Leninist. Let's take a little break. About us. Yeah, no, I think that there are here. New Communist Party based on Marxism-Leninism. I've never heard them be weird about China or anything like that. Yeah, they're definitely... yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. I was like, maybe internally they got some weird thing about China that they're not sharing, but that would be a stretch to me. Yeah, one guide by someone in the org. Yeah, totally. Why I'm skeptical about this is Trump used Kurds against ISIS, then abandoned them when Turkey bombed them back in 1991. They were told to attack Saddam Hussein in northern Iraq, and Saddam dropped chemical weapons on them. Yeah, well, I think that this is like the thing. The Kurds appear to be divided on this as well. Some people remember 1991, and they're like, no, right? And some of them are like, that's fine, let's go. And I think that that's something really, really interesting about like the collective memories. And when you look at even Iran, though, and you looked at like the collective memory, young people are more likely to welcome Western intervention. Young people, I imagine, young Kurds are probably more likely to want to align with the West as well. And that has to do with propaganda, kind of amnesia of the past, not remembering what happened. Young people in Iran don't remember what it was like when the United States overthrew Mossadegh and took over their country until 1979. I imagine for younger Kurds, it's the same. 1991 is a long time ago if you're 25 years old, right? Is my guess. Comrade Thug, and I'm afraid to click on that because I'm afraid you're going to rickroll me. So somebody else has to click on it, but then I won't trust you, and then I'll just rickroll me. I'm afraid. Okay, so the CIA, this is a story, from March 2nd, that was updated 5 hours ago, it says. The CIA is working to arm Kurdish forces, we know this. So let's see if there's any additional information in here that we can learn from. Iranian Kurdish opposition forces are expected to take part in a ground operation in western Iran in the coming days, according to a senior Iranian Kurdish official. The source said, we believe we have a big chance now. The militias expect U.S. and Israeli support. So I bet we will. So it does seem like they've got some of the Kurds to go in with them and do the ground invasion. And that was that's been the will they, won't they piece of the puzzle. And that might actually help them if they get the ground invasion from the Kurds who know the territory more. Right? I'm going to download City Skylines too because City Skylines is free to play this weekend. And it's only $2.99 if you buy it on Steam. Yeah, I would do one maybe for fundraising. That would be fun. The link was safe. I don't trust you guys. Okay. Let's take a look. Oh, sorry, here, yeah. Black for Empire, before you know it, we'll have Negro imperialism, Chairman Fred Hampton. Yeah. Well, it's hard though. Like, I like, as a white person in the United States, like, I get it. Like, I don't feel that I'm a person who's here to, like, judge black liberalism specifically. Like, I can judge liberalism on the whole, right? But black liberalism specifically obviously comes from, like, a history of being completely fucked over and destroyed by Western capitalism. And it's like this idea of a saving grace. And it's like, okay, well, that's not a battle I can take on. I can take on fighting liberalism, but that's a unique battle, right? Because of the history of racialized violence here. But it is hard, right? It's hard. Like, you know, I'm obviously not the biggest victim of this, but it is a weird position to be in when you're like, I have the same politics as the Black Panther Party, and a black liberal is telling you that you're an evil person who deserves to burn in hell. And you're like, okay, all right. I'm gonna stick with these guys. My bad. You know, or even we're talking about Kat Black, and now she's changing her tune. Like, she didn't write a whole fucking think piece about how I was a racist demon for not voting for Kamala Harris. And then in her fucking thing, she has the nerve to throw black communists under the bus and be like, I'm sure there are black people around Madeline who agree, but that they're like morally bankrupt too, or whatever the fuck she said. And it's like, how dare you fucking come from black communists like this too? Like, it is so, it's just deranged. It's very, very weird. You'll curse Obama for all my comments. Thank you. Oh, CPUSA and Today put out a joint statement using words like dictator, tyranny. Oh, man. CPUSA said they weren't going to do shit like this anymore. Are you serious? Fuck. They said they weren't going to do this anymore. CPUSA, I just started recommending you to people. Why? You called it. Microplastics, you knew. I feel like, you know how like the liberals always fall for the fake democratic socialists, like the Fell for It Again award. I feel like that's me with the CPUSA. I feel like I keep falling for the CPUSA every time that they're like, we're different now. And I'm like, okay. Okay, never mind. Back to just PSL and FRSO, I guess. You can't trust CPUSA, but you can always trust CPUSA to be CPUSA. First time chat, very strong challenge. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. What do they got to say about this over here? Where does it go? Regime change, blah, blah, blah. Iran. Service of imperialist interests. Yes, yes. The experience of the people in Palestine, Iraq, Libya, Syria, Sudan, Lebanon, and every country in the southern half of the globe facing colonialism and imperialism cannot be overlooked. True liberation and salvation from reactionary and authoritarian regimes. And their change can only come with the action of the people and patriotic leadership. I'm like, okay. We reiterate that this attack on Iran and Iranian people is the prelude to total domination over the rest of the countries in the region. To replace the current government with a subordinate and authoritarian regime that has previously announced its program to... Oh, actually, this isn't so bad, though. They're saying they want to replace the current government with a subordinate authoritarian regime. So they're like, what the United States would do to us is authoritarian, right? Not that their current regime is authoritarian. That has previously announced... Right? Yeah, with a subordinate... Okay, so I kind of feel like this isn't bad. They're like, hey, look, the United States and Israel want to replace our current government with a subordinate authoritarian regime that has announced its program to bloodily suppress its opponents. So maybe it's not so bad. I don't know. This isn't as bad as I thought. So maybe when they're talking about reactionary authoritarian regimes, what they're talking about. Talking about the Shah. Yeah, right? The Shah. They're saying the Shah would be authoritarian and subordinated to the U.S. interests. Right? Maybe this isn't so bad. I'm not interpreting this to be so bad, actually. I expected way worse. What do you guys think? Because I think they're calling the Shah authoritarian. And they're like, we don't want that. They're saying the current government, we don't want to replace it with an authoritarian Shah. What do you guys think, though? Wait, what's the tanky position of the Iranian government? They're not Marxist-Leninist, so it's not our ideal government, same as Russia. But they are a necessary counterbalance to U.S. imperialism and violence in the region. And their government is certainly preferable to anything that the United States or Israel would put in place. Many people in Iran love their government, and their government protects them from us. We also understand their government is a reaction against what we did to them in the region. So, that's kind of our position. Control F, current dictatorship. Okay. Ah! Okay, never mind. There it was. Fuck, CPUSA, why do you do this? Oh. Boo. Here we are. Found it. I keep because I'm a history nerd. Remember earlier on my TikTok stream, I was like, if you like history, you'll probably like the CPUSA. I'm always into the history of the CPUSA, and I just keep getting tricked by the current one. Yeah, I know exactly what authoritarianism. When people use the term authoritarianism, that is a red flag. You should be like, why are you doing this? Me, fell for it again award with the CPUSA. Do not ever trust anything I tell you about the CPUSA. Official confirmed. I'm too gullible when it comes to the CPUSA. This is a soft spot of mine. We have identified a weakness in me. They just released kind of a weird statement with the Marxist-Leninist Party of Iran, which, look, if the Marxist-Leninist Party of Iran wants to call it a dictatorship, that's on them, right? It's not a worker government. They want to overthrow. They got a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie going on over there in Iran, and they're like, we want to overthrow it. That's all them. The Iranian Communist Party can do that. But once you start getting the Israeli and the CPUSA involved, talking about Iran's under a current dictatorship, I think that's not useful. I think that's weird. CPUSA needs to read Combat Liberalism. Exactly, Comrade Thuggin. Maybe they mean a dictatorship of the bourgeoisie, but they didn't say it, so I don't really know. Fuck. I'm just gonna say there's a reason I left the CPU. I used to be in the CPUSA. There's a reason I left the CPUSA, okay? And there's a reason I joined. I joined because of their history, and I left because I was like, what's going on over here? But I also know we have comrades on the internet who are in the CPUSA. Django is in the CPUSA. I respect Django very, very much. So, Yeah, Lord Oxy was correct. You were offered a candidacy. Yay! Congrats. I think it's very different than how FRSO, we'll see if FRSO has a statement on Iran and PSL has a statement on Iran. Okay, PSL has one from 6 days ago, so does FRSO. So let's look at just the difference between the language. This is FRSO. The United States and Israel waging war on Iran. It's unjust and unprovoked. They kept trying. They're coming back again. Iran is charting an independent course. It stands at the center of an axis of resistance that includes the progressive patriotic forces of Palestine, Yemen, Lebanon, and Iraq. The free people of the Middle East won't live under U.S. domination. They are determined to end the genocidal occupation of the Zionists, so the defenders of the empire will have their hands full. This is how a Marxist-Leninist org talks about what's happening, right? They are charting an independent course. They are fighting for their freedom. We need to leave them the fuck alone, right? So this is an FRSO win, right? PSL, let's see what they've got. Consequences for the Iranian people are already horrific. It's another war based on lies. Iran has always maintained that it's not seeking a nuclear weapon and engaged in diplomatic negotiations with the United States right up until the minute of attack. This is a war of empire. The U.S. has surrounded Iran with military bases. We're controlling things there. Working class youth are being sent to kill and die. Hyper-aggression foreign policy by the administration. The attack on Iran is illegal. The people of this country don't want another end. So just nothing. They're just like, it doesn't fucking matter what Iran's government. This is us doing horrible. So they don't even mention it. They don't talk about Iran's government. They're like, it doesn't matter. This is also a Marxist-Leninist win, right? The only time they talk about Iran is to defend it and say this is fucked up and we should not do this. Oh, okay. Bye, Somali Pan-Africanists. Thanks for stopping in. This is another win. This is how a Marxist-Leninist org should release a statement about what's going on in Iran. FRSO and PSL did it right. Kubashi, no. I'm not clicking that YouTube link. Fooled me once. Shame on me. Yeah. And again, people tend to think that PSL is more liberal, I think, than they are. And again, you would think maybe CPUSA would be more firm than PSL. No, PSL's coming out with bangers all the time. That wasn't you? Oh, okay. Yeah, correct position, hands off Iran. That's it. Yeah. So FRSO, PSL, good job. Holding it down. Holding it down. All right. So the CIA is still getting involved. The senior Kurdistan regional government official said, it's very dangerous. What can we do? We cannot stand against America. We are very frightened. Any attempt to arm Iranian Kurdish groups would need support from the Iraqi Kurds to let the weapons transit. Oh, this is important, actually. And use Iraqi Kurdistan as a launching ground. So the fact that in Iraq, they're like, we're not getting involved in your shit, that's actually major. Because they would need to use Iraq as a thoroughfare to get weapons to the Iranian Kurds. People tend to lump together PSL and DSA. I think, yeah, I'm not sure why, right? Because PSL is a Marxist-Leninist org. I am not going to look at that. I am not going to look at that. Yeah, you guys are going to see me go, I'm going to go full purge. Purge on links. The Holdemore, if you like. Oh, yeah, that could be good. Yeah. CPOSA membership went from 20K to 80K in last year. Wow. I'm sure less than half of those are just feds that don't know what orgs are actually doing work in the country. Interesting. That's huge numbers, though. That is really big numbers. Very, very fascinating. You think some local branches of PSL are more liberal than others? I think that, based on what I've seen, both FRSO and PSL do work with labor unions. And part of doing work with labor unions is that labor unions will not be as progressive as you want them to be. Like, sometimes labor unions are on some fuck-ass, like, lib shit. But if you want to work with them and earn their trust and build community with them, you need to engage in, like, the No Kings or, like, the 50, what's it called? The 5150, not the 5150, or the 5050, whatever that thing is. Things like that. So I think some people sometimes mistake their strategic worker alliances as being their actual principles rather than them just being like, well, we're here to lend support for our community. Not like, we love this and believe in this. Oh, DSA just broke 100K. Wow. We don't have any numbers for PSL. Okay, interesting. Very, very fascinating. Your branch is very yeah, I think that maybe that's why they think that. I've never seen PSL engaging in, like, liberal stuff like that. Other than I've seen them, like, I've seen communists of all types at, like, the No Kings rally to recruit. And, like, the other one, I can't remember its name, the numbers, that one. I've seen communists of all types there, but they're just there recruiting, basically, which I think is cool. No links, only Politico and Black Agenda Report are trustworthy. Mint Press News, you're on thin ice. 50-51, thank you, Carla, thank you, 50-51. Yeah, tons of liberals, but I also know a lot of communists went out to both of those to be like, oh, you're mad? Totally, I'm mad too. Have you heard of this fun new thing called actual socialism? And a lot of people recruited from that. Because there are a lot of Democrats who are mad and frustrated, but just don't know they're socialists yet. And I think that is strategically good. I think that's strategically good. Very, very strong. So strong recruiting opportunity. You went to No Kings one time, it was awful, never again. I mean, yeah. Anybody I know who's a communist who went was like, it was so fucking hard. Got a lot of people to sign up for the newsletter, though. And I'm like, okay. So people are interested there, but you have to suffer through it. Oh, okay, wait. Carr, my friend has a relatively high chance to be the Green Party's parliamentary candidate for constituency in 2029. Yay! Okay, good luck. Yeah, they don't know there's another option yet. And so it is. Sometimes you go to the parades to recruit. Yeah, the whole point of a union is to support members, as I know. My own union, the RMT, who are pro-Brexit. Interesting, yeah. Yeah, I mean, your PSL is going to be at the No Kings March, March 28th in Albany. That's exactly what, yeah, that makes sense, exactly. Yay! Lay Daisy W. I'm happy too. Welcome. Okay, so what's going on with the Kurds then, basically? I got 10 minutes left on this. Is that the Iranian Kurds are like, we're all in. We're going to do it. Thank you, U.S. government, Israel. We love you. We will also attack Iran. Iraqi Kurds are like, fuck that. We're finally politically stable. We're not getting roped into this CIA, USA bullshit again. But in order to get the weapons to the Iranian Kurds, they have to use the Iraqi Kurds. So this is a complication. Very, very fascinating, right? Okay, so this is something I want to touch on. Alex Plitzis, a CNN national security analyst. Oh my God, you guys want me to finish or not? I only have 10 minutes. Okay, Okay. We're speed running the CIA. Okay. So this I think is really interesting. Alex Blitzis, a CNN national security analyst and former senior Pentagon official under Barack Obama, said the U.S. is clearly trying to jumpstart the process of Iranians overthrowing the regime by arming the Kurds, a historic U.S. regional ally. Regime, again, very politically coded word. Everything you don't like's a regime, right? You know, bad government, regime, right? So, but whatever. And I think this is exactly what we know is happening. And this is what the woman we showed in the video at the top of the thing was like, you're literally trying to get us to overthrow our government, and we're not going to fucking do it. She said that, and this is what he's saying. The U.S. is clearly trying to get the Iranians to overthrow their government, and we're not sure if that's going to happen, right? Jen Gavito, former senior State Department official specializing in the Middle East under Biden, said she's concerned about whether the implications of arming the Kurds have been fully considered. We are already facing a volatile security situation on both sides of the border, Gavin told CNN. This has the potential to undermine Iraqi sovereignty and essentially empower armed militias with no accountability and with little understanding of what may set in motion. Now, I just want to point out, both of these come from CNN. We're on CNN right now. CNN is the libbed out news source, right? So we know they don't mind war. They don't mind violence. They're just the Democrat aligned kind of version of the evil empire, right? So the people, the experts they're citing here have experience working under Obama and working under Biden. So they're interviewing Democrats. Now, what is the purpose of CNN reporting this? To make you think that the problem is Donald Trump, not the Democrats, right? We've got senior officials to Biden and Obama being like, this is crazy, which implies what? We would never do this. And the reality is you would do a war with Iran. You would just do it differently, right? And CNN wouldn't be reporting on it like this. So I just want to point that out, what's going on here with this, right? And why it's important that CNN is the one reporting this and the people they're interviewing are Democratic Party top officials from previous U.S. presidents. And that's all relevant here, but that doesn't mean that it's incorrect, right? I think this is correct. And this is, also something we've seen other people say. So important. And then this goes into the history of what we've done with the Kurds in the past. So I think this article is very illuminating, even if it is CNN lip slop. Now, this is the last one we didn't have time, how European countries are aiding the U.S. and Israel in the war in Iran. I think this is interesting. I'm going to make you guys a tiny URL for recommended reading. I'm going to read it on my own as well, and we'll get into it. I think the big takeaway here, yes, hi, 2PPKBE6A. Okay, so that's the link for the Mint Press News thing that we didn't have a chance to cover. If anybody wants to, I'll pin it. Uh-oh, it won't let me pin it. Everybody, just get it now. It won't let me pin it. It's saying no. But we're here. So, yeah, what's the takeaway for today? Well, first of all, that Weapons Wednesday is going to start next week. We are going to learn about one weapon every week at the top of the hour. Pretty soon, we are going to have every day of the week with its own acronym. And you know what? I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be good. So, Weapons Wednesday... Get ready. If you start hearing weapons, be like, what's that one do? Make a little listy in your phone. We're going to learn about it. Tank Tuesday, we're going to look at the build plans for tanks. We're going to do it. Everyone find a weapon to recommend for Wednesday. Just weapons. But we're not going to do the whole thing. We're only going to talk about it for a few minutes. We're just going to learn a little bit about it for a few minutes. That won't be the whole day. You officially have a communist homework tab in your browser? Nice. Fuck Off Friday, we're already doing. But Fuck Off Friday is more for the TikTokers. That's when I yell at them. So we don't really have that same energy over here on Twitch because I like you guys. I can't be mean to you. You know, I like you too much. So what am I gonna do? You teach me about nuclear enrichment. How can I be mad about that? What? It'll be 52 weapons a year. We're gonna learn so much. We're gonna be like, oh, not with the AB-43 missile head. Ugh, can you believe this guy? We're going to be saying shit like that. It's going to make sense, right? Your weapon can be magical. Yes, we will accept it. Okay, so, yeah, why am I so nice today? Well, I love to learn. All right, so should we raid Rob Rousseau? Is that what we should do? Is Rob on? Commie amosexuals. We're really living up to the Nuki. We're not beating the Nuki allegations. Amosexual. He's on? Okay, we'll rate him. Larry's on too. Do you guys want to do Larry or do you want to do Rob? Nuki emote. Okay, I'm going to make a nuke. Emote. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Do you guys have a vote between... I feel like we do Larry a lot. So let's do Rob, and then we'll do Larry after. Larry, everything Larry. Okay, we'll do Larry. I like Larry. And I know how to spell it. Oh, soccer? Okay, no soccer. We're not doing soccer. We'll do Rob Rousseau. Is Rob Rousseau just spelled normal? Maybe I can Twitch Rob Rousseau. Yes, it is. I got it. Yay. I'm like, soccer? Not for me. Okay, everybody. Thank you for a lovely stream. See you Monday. Have a good weekend.